At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 2 minutes, 30 seconds. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 2 minutes. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 1 minute, 30 seconds. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 1 minute. Stations, this is your final time check. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 30 seconds.
Westwood One Sports presents Josh Graham.
For the next 4 hours, we'll be reacting to round one of the NFL draft, which is essentially in the books. The pick is in for the 32nd and final selection of the night, but let's get right to it. Let's start with the quarterbacks. Let's start with the most surprising pick of the evening. The LA Rams have found Matthew Stafford's successor. It is Alabama quarterback Ty Simpson. He is taken 13th overall in Pittsburgh, a move that has led to a firestorm of reaction. And I kind of like it. It makes a ton of sense for the LA Rams to do it. It was a badly kept secret that LA really liked Ty Simpson all throughout this process. But once they traded away 29 in order to land Trent McDuffie, nobody thought that they would possibly take Ty Simpson with the 13th pick. That's exactly what LA does. But it is important to remember, for the context of this conversation, that they did in fact have 2 first-round picks. The TV broadcast reacted by saying, oh, there's going to be some real problems in LA because this isn't a move that helps this year's team. Could you have made more of a win-now move than what you did trading the 29th pick for Trent McDuffie? That is, by definition, a win-now move. You had 2 first-rounders this year. That was your pick. The 29th pick. You trade it to help this year's team right now, you're aggressive, bringing in a corner from Kansas City. This was seen as a bonus pick. It's a bonus pick because Atlanta's now fired front office decided to surrender this year's pick, number 13, in order to select 26th a year ago and take a second edge rusher of that round. That is awful management that Kansas City benefited from. They've already done the win now move with the 29th pick. They now help the future and look ahead by adding the quarterback. And it isn't like the Rams haven't made moves to improve this year's team. It's not like they surrendered capital in order to move up. This is not Green Bay moving up to take Jordan Love a few years ago. For one, Jay Glazer immediately reported that Matthew Stafford was looped into this. He was not blindsided by LA making this move. Number two, Matthew Stafford has indicated he has 1, maybe 2 years left. Aaron Rodgers is still playing football. Well, we think. We don't know for sure if he's going to be a Pittsburgh Steeler this year. And number three, they didn't move up to make the pick. They surrendered capital in order to take Jordan Love years ago. That's why this is completely different than that. Don't make that comp. But the other reason you like this, in a lab, could you have scripted a better situation for a quarterback to succeed in than what Ty Simpson is now stepping into? You're a first-round pick, yet there is no pressure for you to play right away. Nobody, regardless if you get off to a bad start, is going to be calling for Matthew Stafford to be benched. He's the MVP. You get to sit behind him. You have Sean McVay as your head coach, who's seen to be the best offensive mind in football. You have Puka Nacua, who might be the best offensive player in the sport, and he is younger. You could not have scripted this better if you were in a lab, if you were in Hollywood trying to write the best way to support a quarterback. And if you really dig into Simpson's background, there is so much to like about him. He was viewed as a Heisman frontrunner at the start of November. This is forgotten about because the college football season has gotten so ungodly long. But when Alabama won 8 straight games and was cruising past teams in November and winning big games, third Saturday in October, beating Tennessee, for example, Simpson was the betting favorite, not Fernando Mendoza. Alabama was in a great spot, and it's pretty obvious to anybody who was paying attention that Simpson was a different player during the college football playoff than the guy we saw the first couple months of the season. He didn't make excuses about it, but obviously he was banged up. This isn't some scrub. He's a 4-year player at Alabama. He's a former 5-star recruit brought in by Nick Saban, developed there. There's obviously talent, and now the talent that goes from Alabama and Nick Saban to Kalen DeBoer and playing and developing for 4 years in the fishbowl that is Alabama football, now is in a lower pressure situation, lower stakes, and gets to learn behind Matthew Stafford and Sean McVay. There's a lot to like about this move. This segment sponsored by Progressive Commercial Insurance, protecting small businesses with affordable coverage options. Get a quote today at progressivecommercial.com. It's only right if we're going to talk about Ty Simpson. We should probably talk about both quarterbacks, but let's ask this question right off the rip. Who has a better NFL career? It's draft night. We're reacting to the draft that literally just finished up in the last 5 minutes. Who has a better NFL career between the two quarterbacks that were taken in round one? Is it Fernando Mendoza taken first to the Raiders, or is it Ty Simpson selected 13th by the Rams? You tell us, 310-840-4910. We've got Roy who's taking your calls at 310-840-4910. Denton Day is the producer of this program. Denton, remind us how tonight is going to work, because we're going to hear from several of the prospects that were drafted tonight in Pittsburgh, aren't we?
We are. Our guys, Bleck and Abdallah, they're out there. They're doing a fantastic job. getting to talk with these guys moments after they've been drafted. You kind of siphon them right to a table, get to hang out with them for 3 or 4 minutes. So you're going to hear from a lot of these guys, Westwood One exclusives, right after they found out where they're going to be spending the next few years, potentially decades of their lives.
One of the biggest stars, Jeremiyah Love, will be up first that we hear from in the next 10 minutes or so. But let's talk about the man that was taken number 1 overall. Just because there wasn't suspense of who goes number 1 doesn't mean we should look past how incredible of a story Fernando Mendoza is. There is no greater story that you hear tonight than his going number 1 overall. It is an inspiration to so many, both players and teams, what he accomplished, what the program he played for this past year accomplished. At this time a year ago, you get those way too early mock drafts that are put out. Earlier today, went and revisited those. Do you know how many of those way too early mock drafts featured Fernando Mendoza on it? None. He had just completed back-to-back 6 and 7 seasons at Cal. Other than hosting College Game Day and blowing a miraculous fourth quarter lead against Cam Ward, soon to be number 1 picks, Miami Hurricanes, it was a forgettable 2 seasons at Berkeley. Mendoza, he wasn't even one of the first 5 quarterbacks mentioned when you have these quarterback rankings in the summer. Some not even in the top 10. What was the conversation? It was all about Arch Manning, March for Arch. There was the Lenoris Sellers hype and Cade Klubnik and Dante Moore. Nobody was talking about Fernando Mendoza. And what Mendoza enjoyed was one of the greatest college seasons we've ever seen. He won a national championship at Indiana, something that might be the greatest college sports story we've seen in the last 50 years. They were the first college football team to finish 16-0. Mendoza, we haven't seen a player have this type of a comeuppance in one season to become the number 1 pick of the draft since Joe Burrow. And before that, Cam Newton. But both those guys, Joe Burrow started at Ohio State, that's where he was initially recruited to. Cam Newton was at Florida under Urban Meyer. This is different. Mendoza was a Miami kid denied multiple times by his hometown Hurricanes that finishes his career by beating Miami in his home city. And now his challenge is going to be turning around the Raiders. In fact, here was Mendoza, who wasn't at the draft in Pittsburgh tonight. Here he was reacting to being taken by the Vegas Raiders.
The last 5 months has been such a blessing by God, and I can't thank him enough. I'm just looking forward to get to work, prove it at the next level. College was fantastic. I'm so blessed to have that career, but now I step into a great game of the NFL. Look forward to proving and earning it every single day.
You're going to the Las Vegas Raiders. What excites you the most about this opportunity?
What a great organization, great legacy. There's so many great teammates I'm looking forward to talking to, coaches, owners. I'm ecstatic for the opportunity.
People are getting mad about the dumbest things. Shocker. Oh, Mendoza, big timing the draft. He's not going to show up there. It's commendable that Fernando Mendoza wasn't at the draft. He wanted to share this moment with his family. He has a giant family. If you weren't following throughout the playoff run, you probably didn't see all the features of how close he was to his grandparents. And you might have missed the news earlier today that he's starting a foundation with his name in it to help those struggling with MS, like his mom. And he wanted to make it easy for his family to share this moment with him tonight. Being at the draft, honestly, it sounds like a giant hassle. You get drafted, and all you want to do is celebrate, but yet the next couple of hours, it's just media obligations. It's travel logistics. Okay, when am I going to get to Vegas? And, when do I wake? It just sounds like a blur. Great problems to have. You've now accrued generational wealth. You've accomplished your dream, not knocking it, but can understand when somebody says, you know what? That's not what's important. What's important is that I stay home, not talk to Bleck and Abdallah. That wasn't meant to be a shot at our guys, Bleck and Abdallah, by the way. They're going to be on this show tonight. and we'll visit with them and ask how Permanente Bros was. Because is it possible, D-Day, for you to go to Pittsburgh for any type of event but not put on your social medias that you're walking into Permanente Bros like Chris Black did earlier today? Is it possible? Did you actually, in fact, go to Pittsburgh if you didn't post that on your social media?
What is that?
Oh, you're not familiar with the Yentzers and what? You can figure that one out then. Don't think we need to. It's just a restaurant. That's really all it is. You can check out the menu. Tell us what you want to get. Figure it out. Seems like it would be right up your alley, honestly. But we're asking the question, who has a better NFL career, Fernando Mendoza or Ty Simpson, given the situations that they are stepping into? Who has the better career? 310-840-4910. You can call us there. You can text us there. We're streaming video on YouTube and on X. Shout out to all of you on YouTube who are saying, why aren't you talking about the Knicks losing? It's game 3, 7-game series. We'll get there at some point. Sure, that's probably going to happen. Been so locked in to the draft tonight. Don't even know. Did the Carolina Hurricanes finish off Ottawa tonight? Don't even know the answer to that. Yes, they did. They won 2-1. That's my team. That's how locked in. You want to know how locked in your host tonight is on the NFL draft? Didn't even know what happened with his favorite team in the playoffs tonight. But the Canes are up 3-0 in their best-of-7 series. So pointing that out as well. As mentioned, Chris Black, Adam Abdallah going to be with us. However, and wherever you're listening or watching, greatly appreciate that. In addition to getting to your answers to that poll question, our draft correspondents, Black and Abdallah, they just spoke with Notre Dame's Jeremiyah Love, or I should say, Arizona Cardinals running back Jeremiyah Love. You'll hear that exclusive conversation, and we'll get to what we believe to be the hardest pick of the night to defend. Next on Westwood One Sports Night.
Every pick, every reaction, every move in real time. It's exclusive first-round draft coverage on your official home of the NFL, Westwood One Sports.
At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 4 minutes, 30 seconds. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 4 minutes. At the tone, the broadcast will be in 3 minutes and 30 seconds. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 3 minutes. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 2 minutes, 30 seconds. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 2 minutes. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 1 minute, 30 seconds. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 1 minute. Stations, this is your final time check. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 30 seconds.
Westwood One Sports presents Josh Graham.
Who has a better career? Fernando Mendoza, selected number 1 overall to the Raiders. Ty Simpson, surprisingly going 13th to the LA Rams. 310-840-4910. We'll get to your answers to that question in a bit. But our guys, Chris Bleck and Adam Abdallah of Bleck and Abdallah fame, they're in Pittsburgh, where they did their show earlier today, where they're going to be joining us from in the next hour or so. They've been catching up with prospects all night long, right after they just achieved their lifelong dream of becoming NFL players. First up, the man selected number 3 overall to the Arizona Cardinals out of Notre Dame, Jeremiyah Love. Here's how that conversation sounded from Pittsburgh.
Chris Bleck and Adam Abdallah joined now by Jeremiyah Love, who was selected by the Arizona Cardinals with the 3rd pick in the 2026 NFL Draft. Congratulations.
Thank you, man. It's a huge honor to be picked to go to Arizona. You know, I'm ready to work, man. I'm ready to prove the fans right, prove the coaching staff right, and we're going to do some great things in Arizona.
How does it feel to be the first running back in a long time to be picked in the top 5, let alone the top 3 in a long time?
I mean, it's a great feeling, you know. I feel like I've been chosen to represent the running backs, you know, coming out of college from Notre Dame and in the 3rd pick in the NFL draft. And I think I'm probably the highest picked running back in a while, right?
Since Saquon.
Since
went
Saquon.
went 2nd overall, yeah.
So it's a huge honor, man. It's a lot. That's a lot of pressure, or not even pressure. That's a lot of, you know, just expectations that are already just going to be on me from day one. But I'm going to welcome it all, you know. I'm ready to represent the running backs. I'm ready to represent the Cardinals, ready to represent Notre Dame. And I'm going to make sure I do what I got to do to have success. Make sure I'm going to do what I got to do for the team to have success. And I'm going to represent the Cardinals right.
Are there running backs of the past that you looked up to that you tried to model your game after?
No, sir. No, sir. You know, I am authentically myself. I've never tried to model my game after anybody. You know, I've always just been myself and just stuck to my roots and just played my own game.
There's going to be a lot of changes with the Cardinals, obviously, new staff, new personnel coming in. What do you want Cardinals fans, what do you want that staff to know coming in that you're going to bring to that organization?
Then I'm going to bring a great culture. You know, if there's not already a great culture there, I'm going to make sure that culture is great. And I'm going to make sure I'm going to do everything that I can to make sure that team has success. And I'm just ready to work, man. I'm ready to build great relationships with the coaches, with the guys on the team, with the fans. And like I said, we're going to do some great things in Arizona. And the most of all, we're going to build some great relationships.
During the pre-draft process, did you have an idea that Arizona was going to take you at 3?
Early on, no, I didn't know who was going to take me. But as I got closer to the end, I had an inkling that Arizona was going to pick me. So right after David got picked at 2, I was already just staring at my phone waiting for that call. Because, shoot, it was – I just got to do, you know. It was just a little gut feeling. So very blessed to be here, very blessed to have the opportunity to go to Arizona. And like I said, man, I'm just ready to work. I've been ready to get back to a routine and get back to work for a long time. So I'm blessed to have the opportunity to do it in Arizona.
When you get to Arizona, you've got to start like a group chat, get the anime club together, get some guys that have the like-mindedness like you, something to do in the downtime, right?
Yeah,
get like a weekly viewing of something, or maybe get some new guys into that. What kind of type of anime are you into? What can you get some of the guys that aren't into when you get there?
So I love action animes. Right now, I just got done watching this anime called Jujutsu Kaisen. It's my favorite anime of all time. My favorite character in there is his name is Gojo Satoru. So I'm definitely gonna put the guys on that if they have not already watched that. And shoot, I'm gonna find those guys that really know about anime. We're gonna have some discussions.
Nice.
That's what I'm looking forward to.
Now that you're an Arizona Cardinal, as you look at this offseason and projecting out to this upcoming rookie season, what's something in your game that you want to work on before you get to training camp?
I just want to make sure that my smarts are where they need to be, because at the end of the day, you know, I feel like I'm a good player. You know, I'm a good player, aiming to be a great player, and to get to that great status, you know, I got to be smart. I got to know the game of football. So just increase my knowledge of the game, be able to diagnose defenses fast.
Sounds right. Jeremiyah Love. Got to diagnose those defenses right. Great to hear from him out in Pittsburgh. Chris Black, Adam Abdallah, appreciate them passing that along to us. And we'll hear from guys who were drafted, the biggest stars of the night throughout the evening. Chris Black and Adam Abdallah visiting with them. What we're about to say here is no slight on Jeremiyah Love. Jeremiyah Love is worthy of being a top 5 pick. He's worthy, certainly, of being a top 10 pick. He is a fabulous football player that you could make the case is the best offensive player in this draft, maybe the best player pound for pound. With all of that being said, the Arizona Cardinals taking Jeremiyah Love at number 3 is the hardest pick of the night to defend. Honestly. We don't rip teams lightly. You think of things from all angles, and you're trying to view it from Monty Ossenfort's perspective. Okay, why go running back in this spot? You're trying to defend it, and this is the most difficult pick of the 32 we saw tonight to defend. This football team, the Arizona Cardinals, they are not close to competing right now. And they know it. And they know it. This is not a team that thinks they're closer than what they are, which leads everybody in the room to think, "Aw, that's not what this is." They know what division they're in. They're in a division that saw every team win at least, 12, 13 games, including the Super Bowl champion Seahawks. They know they got a first-year head coach. They know what they didn't do at quarterback. They know Jacoby Brissett is QB1, and he's not even participating in the offseason program, which might lead to the funniest training camp holdout we ever see. Yet, they select a running back, which is not a premium position, and usually has a shorter shelf life than other positions. It's an easier position to replace. So you're a bad football team. And you know you're bad, which is why you're settling for Jacoby Brissett at quarterback. It's why you made a coaching change. You're not trying to win right now. Running backs, they are luxury items. You don't buy a Porsche when you're struggling to pay the rent. This is a priorities issue for Arizona. They chose a running back while they had several needs at premium positions. They need edge rusher help. And they chose a running back over both Arvell Reese and Ruben Bane, who were right there for the taking. They needed help on the O-line. You could have selected CC Maui Noah or gone with Spencer Fano, and you didn't do that. You could have used a corner. And if Mansour Delane was good enough for Kansas City to move up to number 6, he would have been a much better pick for you at number 3 than taking a running back. Ideally, you trade back with the pick. Ideally. It's hard to imagine there weren't suitors. Surely Monty Ossenfort would be asked this question, and he'd probably answer it, yeah, there's always offers. There are always offers. It just wasn't one good enough. Really? You don't think the Giants couldn't have known that the Titans were going to prioritize Carnell Tate over Arvell Reese? They couldn't have known that. You don't think they would have moved up 2 picks to ensure they get their guy? And you move back a couple spots? Maybe even the Kansas City Chiefs, who obviously were willing to climb up the board. If they were willing to go to 6, you don't think they would have been willing to go up to 3? There are other options out there. So it's, again, not a slight on Jeremiyah Love, who's a fabulous, fabulous football player. But it's the hardest pick of the night to defend. You feel bad for him. Honestly, first thought I had when he was taken, has a running back ever pulled the Eli Manning holding up the LA or the San Diego Chargers jersey only to tell San Diego, I'm not going to be here? Shout out to Magic Johnson. Has a running back ever pulled that before? I'm not coming. Now, he says all the right things. He said all the right things to Chris Black and Adam Abdallah of our Westwood One team and seems ready to go to prove that they got it right. But this is the bad news. Do you know remember how good we felt on draft night about Marvin Harrison Jr.? This is one of the best wide receiver prospects we've seen in years. And then he goes to Arizona, and it might as well be Siberia. Likely to never be heard of again. That's the fear with Jeremiyah Love. That you just took Jeremiyah Love, you took a Porsche when you're struggling to pay for your house payments. You got Marvin Harrison Jr. and you got Jeremiyah Love wasting away in Arizona. That is the most difficult pick to defend. Honestly, what is the defense for it? Don't know. Haven't heard it. Think most people understand. Whew, boy, that doesn't make a lot of sense at number 3 of the draft. Denton Day, is there another close competitor in terms of reaction? Is there a close competitor to Jeremiyah Love going number 3, polarizing picks tonight? I guess, is it Simpson? It's Simpson and Love? Those are the 2?
I guess I would say Simpson is not quite as polarizing because at the very least, you understand it. Like, hey, we know what he's going to be in the organization for at least a few years. You're learning behind Matthew Stafford. We've seen other teams do this before. It's worked out very favorably. With Jeremiyah Love, I mean, you might sell some jerseys. That's cool.
Yeah. Yeah, what number is he going to be? You could do the single-digit thing in the NFL now. That's cool. Uh-huh. Got folks commenting, adults watching cartoons, it's messed up in a way. Do you make the distinction between cartoons and anime? Is anime under the cartoon umbrella, or are those separate distinctions?
I think if you ask a real anime fan, they're going to say they're separate distinctions. I watch cartoons and I'm an adult, so I take that personally.
Yeah, and I took that personally. Yeah, this seems like the entertainment question. It sounds a lot like, is chocolate candy? Kind of depends on who you ask. But Jeremiyah Love, both the polarizing picks that we just pointed to have childlike interests, if you want to make the anime claim that that's childlike, because Ty Simpson's huge into Legos, we found out. So Ty Simpson into Legos, Jeremiyah Love into anime. Those are the most polarizing picks of the night. But coming up, oh, by the way, if you're new here, welcome. Make sure you're subscribed to our podcast. Westwood One Sports Night is available on Apple Podcasts and Spotify. So we're on for the next 4 hours. We got first round of the draft. We're excited to talk about it. We're taking your questions or taking your submissions. Hey, who is going to have the better career between Ty Simpson and Fernando Mendoza? In fact, the guys, Bleck and Abdallah, just caught up with Ty Simpson. You'll hear from him a little bit later on. 310-840-4910 if you want in. We're going to be reacting to that all night. Make sure you're subscribed to the podcast. The YouTube channel, that, to quote Aldo Rain and Glorious Bastards, cousin, business is a booming. Got some shorts up. Linnell Willingham, my partner in crime, helping out with that. You can find that Westwood One Sports Night. It's how you can watch the show in addition to listening to it. However, and wherever you choose to consume us, we greatly appreciate that. Coming up, you're going to hear from the biggest star in this year's NFL draft. And it might not be the first. Oh, wait a minute. This is the part where we do an audible. We do the, Wedding Crashers hot route. Bleck and Abdallah is going to join us from Pittsburgh live. I've never been more excited. That's next.
Your team has a chance to change its trajectory overnight.
There's always a couple teams that no one expected that goes worst to first.
The NFL Draft is tonight. The teams you care about and the prospects they could pick. We have the latest news you need to know from your home of the NFL, Westwood One Sports.
At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 4 minutes, 30 seconds. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 4 minutes. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 3 minutes and 30 seconds. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 3 minutes. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 2 minutes, 30 seconds. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 2 minutes. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 1 minute, 30 seconds. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 1 minute. Stations, this is your final time check. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 30 seconds.
Westwood One Sports presents Josh Graham.
You know the expression or the question that's asked hypothetically, if a tree falls in the forest but no one's around to hear it, did it actually fall? I thought of that question when I saw on social media today, Chris Black from Chris Black, or Black and Abdallah, posted on his Instagram a picture of him walking inside Primanti Brothers earlier today. The guys are joining us now, Chris Black, Adam Abdallah from Black and Abdallah, that you can listen to noon to 3 Eastern time each day. They're in Pittsburgh at the NFL Draft. Would you like to first explain, Black, what Primanti Brothers is to D-Day, because he asked me that earlier this hour, and what you got?
Josh, first of all, we miss you. Good to see you. And yeah, so here's the full story.
Yeah.
Every person that was here today in Pittsburgh was trying to get inside Primanti Brothers for a sandwich, which is a sandwich where they put stuff that usually comes on the side of a sandwich in the sandwich.
On top.
Fries, slaw, it all just goes on the sandwich. So the line was approximately, 300 people deep trying to get into Permanente Brothers, which was right across the river from the Fan Fest. So I took a photo and I posted said photo, but Abdallah and I did not eat at Permanente Brothers.
It's false advertising
today.
is what it is, Josh.
It really was, yes.
He didn't go into Permanente Brothers.
Nope.
We wanted to go to Permanente Brothers.
We wanted to.
I don't think we're going to get our Permanente Brothers fix.
Doesn't seem like it. No.
I don't think the day the NFL draft is happening, when there's like 150,000 people taking over the city, is the day to go to Permanente Brothers.
We tried. We walked up.
Yeah.
It was a long line, though.
Yeah.
Adam Abdallah. I live in Winston-Salem, North Carolina, that is home to Texas Pete hot sauce, and got sued for false advertising. And they won their lawsuit saying, you know what, you could be based anywhere and call yourself still Texas Pete. So, I don't think it's false advertising. It was a nice picture. Black and Abdallah is joining us of Black and Abdallah fame. Let me do the most sports talk thing ever, because the draft just ended. Let's talk about the quarterbacks, where you have Fernando Mendoza go number 1, and the shocker of the night, Ty Simpson going 13th to the LA Rams. Who has a better NFL career? Adam Abdallah.
Oh, man. Okay, so probably, right out the gate, people are going to say Fernando Mendoza because the grades on Ty Simpson aren't great, and he probably should have gone in the second round, and the Rams are reaching and all this kind of stuff. But we talked about it on our show today, Josh, that, this was almost expected, because before the Rams traded away their 29th pick for Trent McDuffie, and this was kind of almost a foregone conclusion that the Rams were going to draft Ty Simpson late in the first round. They had done all their homework on Ty Simpson. They really liked Ty Simpson. And then they made the trade, and it was like, okay, they probably won't do this. And then we got a couple days away from the draft on Tuesday, and this smoke started to come from the Rams facility, and it was like, okay, they might do this. This might be happening at 13, and then it's like, wait, they might also be interested in trading up for Jeremiyah Love at 3, and all this kind of misdirection was happening, and sure enough, the reports were true that they were still interested in Ty Simpson, and they think they have nothing of need, apparently, which is something that the Packers were doing for years with Aaron Rodgers. The Rams don't need anything right now, and they're planning for maybe 1 or 2 years into the future. So the easy answer is to say Fernando Mendoza. But I believe that with 2 years of seasoning and a little bit of sprinkling, with Sean McVay as the head coach, and watching Matthew Stafford, and when we talked to Ty Simpson not 15 minutes ago, and he told us that he was learning from Peyton Manning and going to the Manning camps and learning and already watching Matthew Stafford, and he's going to have this resource of McVay and Stafford. If he sits for 2 years and he becomes one of those quarterbacks that was successful because he sat for 2 years, it might be Ty Simpson. It might actually be the guy that got the opportunity to sit for 2 years and learn from arguably one of the best coaches in the NFL.
Talent's a talent still, so I'm going to go with Mendoza. I'm going to go with Mendoza because
okay.
I do understand, and I do kind of want to lean towards what Abdallah is selling there, because I believe more in Sean McVay than I do at the current situation with the Raiders with the new head coach. So I just think Mendoza is going to be the better player, and that's why he was number 1 selected overall tonight.
You mentioned that you just spoke with Ty Simpson.
Yeah.
We'll hear that during our show. We have both Chris Black and Adam Abdallah. Black and Abdallah joining us here, noon to 3. You can catch those guys from Pittsburgh tomorrow, Eastern Time. Recommend you do that. Chris Black, what was your favorite of the conversations that you had, since everybody in the green room pretty much rolled by your set?
Yeah, we talked to 16 of the players that were here tonight. I think Francis Maui Noah was probably my favorite. His appreciation for what his family, his parents have done for him to get to this point, and it just is a great story. He was a lot of fun to talk to. Caden Proctor was a lot of fun to talk to. Both were well-dressed. And I think both big guys were the 2 best-dressed dudes here tonight.
Yeah.
So I'm going to go with Francis Maui Noah and Caden Proctor. Those were my favorite 2 conversations that we had tonight.
Anything to add, Abdallah? Anybody else you'd nominate?
I really like talking to David Bailey. I think that David Bailey was great.
Yeah.
Because Fernando Mendoza wasn't here, he kind of was the first pick that we saw walk across the stage, and him kind of going through that experience and him being the first person to go out and hug Goodell and being the first person to go out on the stage and everybody, cheering for. Like, the draft started with him. And having, the Jets cancel the meeting on him and all that kind of stuff, and going through that entire process, I really liked David Bailey and talking to him. I thought he had a great conversation.
I'd say this, Josh, when we have these conversations, I will say I was surprised at the number of players that when we said, hey, what were your conversations like with said team before they took you? And the response was, we didn't really have one.
Yeah.
Like, there were more than a few players that were like, yeah, that team didn't really talk to me much.
I don't know, man.
I'm here now. And I was like, oh, okay, all right, let's do it. Pretty good.
Yeah, that's exactly how I got hired at Westwood One Sports. I just got drafted, and it's like, wait, who's Bleck and Abdallah? I've never talked to these people ever. Chris Bleck and Adam Abdallah joining us from Pittsburgh. Abdallah, let's talk about that hot goss. See, when we were in the Final Four last month, okay, you got the basketball games, you have the event, but then when everybody's together, people talk, and the talk at the Final Four was, hey, who's North Carolina going to hire? And everyone was talking about the Duke loss to UConn. Just how central was the Mike Vrabel story at the draft?
I mean, especially because the news broke today with the extra pictures from the bar in New York, and then you had the pictures from the casino, and then Mike Vrabel had to address the media a half an hour before the draft started. Yeah. And I, before the show before we found out that he was going to speak, put on my tinfoil hat because I said that the Patriots were going to trade the pick. I said that the Patriots were going to, because he was only scheduled to meet. Oh, Josh has got a tinfoil hat. I thought
I heard something.
He got up to walk away, and I was like, "Did we lose Josh?"
That's not a tinfoil
it's
hat.
Just some tinfoil.
That's a wrapper from a burrito.
Yeah, it's from one of his dinners. So I thought that he was going to. He's only scheduled to meet the media tonight after the draft. So my philosophy was, with the 31st pick, the Patriots have traded it to someone, so Vrabel doesn't have to meet the media, so they can get rid of this story, and he doesn't have to meet the media until the end of May when their next OTA session happens. And then more news comes out and more pictures come out, and they have to get ahead of it. And he met the media, around 7:20, 7:30 before, and got ahead of it and had like a 3-minute, statement or whatever. And then they make some draft picks, they make some trades or whatever. And so it was pretty big because we didn't know how much this was going to affect. Chris and I are very much in disagreement about how much Mike Vrabel affects the draft room on Saturday in the day 3. What is it? He's the grounding.
Yeah, Saturday.
The grounding that he's not allowed.
He's in counseling.
Yeah, okay.
He's figuring it out.
Yeah,
Puka Nacua.
Yeah, sure he is. Yeah. I don't think it's a big deal because the story from this draft is like the talent isn't that great and overall, and so not being here for day 3, and the Patriots even released a statement. They're like, yeah, we got this. He doesn't need to be here. So it's like, what? Like, the slap on the wrist is that he doesn't have to be here for day 3. Like, okay, cool, good job, buddy. Like, okay, go get your counseling, and if he's actually going, so fine.
What is wrong with you?
Listen, man, tinfoil hat, whatever. Cool.
Chris
he doesn't.
Black.
Those pictures don't look like he's that upset by it. So okay.
Last thing for you, Chris
Yes.
Black, because I want you guys to go to sleep and you have a show in about approximately 12 hours to do. I've never been to the draft.
Yeah.
If I'm in your position, I'd love to be there to talk to the guys. I don't get the appeal of going from a fan's perspective, given there's not a lot of, you got people holding up jerseys for a few hours and there's some events around it, sure. But paint the picture. I've never been to the draft. Chris Black, what was it like for paint it from the perspective of somebody, that's never been there?
Yeah, it's a festival for football fans that come together, and it's one of those nights where your team has hope. So the reason it's so much fun and people want to be here is because your team could be selecting a player to be the missing piece to a championship, or you might be selecting the next Hall of Fame player in your jersey for your team. So, I think that adds an element to it. Pittsburgh has done a great job putting on for this year's draft. It is pretty incredible to see the setup outside. They were saying there's going to be over 100,000 people outside for the draft tonight. I don't know if they gave a real number on TV, but that's what it really is. It's an excuse for football fans to get together and celebrate football, even though there is no football actually getting played. So we can all come together, appreciate that we love the game of football, and you wear your jerseys. We've seen so many jerseys today. It was a great time. And, Josh, you really should get to a draft at some point to just see the spectacle that is the NFL draft.
You hear that, D-Day? You and I, since you're in D.C., and Linnell's over there as well, next year, that might have to be the move. Figure out a way to get to D.C. It's driving distance. We'll make it happen. Chris Black, Adam Abdallah, I heard the sirens. Raj, I could tell, needs to get out. You guys do your thing. Great work today. Thanks for all you do for us. And have a great show tomorrow, noon to 3, Black and Abdallah. Get some sleep in the meantime, though.
Thank you, Josh. We'll be listening tonight. We appreciate you.
We sleep in, April? We sleep in May.
Yeah, we sleep when the football season's over, Josh.
We sleep in
That's
May.
Right. It's not May yet.
We sleep in May. We sleep in May. A wise man once told me we sleep in May.
There goes Black and Abdallah. That's outstanding. Appreciate those guys, and be sure to support their work. It's true. I'm going to add that to the Rothstein shirt. We sleep in May. Why? Because the draft's in April, too. What do we got in the month of May? I guess we got playoffs, and we got the schedule release in 2 weeks. Can fire that up, D-Day. Excellent stuff from those guys. Make sure you follow their show, noon to 3, from Pittsburgh tomorrow, where they're going to be. And they talked to 16 guys in the green room tonight. And one of the players that they caught up with, as they mentioned, they said in the last 20 minutes, right before jumping on with us, is the man of the night. It's Ty Simpson going to the LA Rams. You will hear what Black and Abdallah's conversation with Ty Simpson sounded like. They're exclusive. Also, we answer the question we've been asking. Who will have the better career between Fernando Mendoza and Ty Simpson? 310-840-4910. We share our answer with you, and we get to your answers next on Westwood One Sports Night.
This is Westwood One Sports.
At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 4 minutes, 30 seconds. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 4 minutes. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 3 minutes and 30 seconds. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 3 minutes. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 2 minutes, 30 seconds. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 2 minutes. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 1 minute, 30 seconds. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 1 minute. Stations, this is your final time check. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 30 seconds.
Westwood One Sports presents Josh Graham.
Excellent pull by Roy to get this hour started. The man who can't be moved, the script. Excellent work. Let's ask the question that might be leading every show on Friday. Who's going to have the better NFL career? Ty Simpson or Fernando Mendoza? Fernando Mendoza going number 1 overall to the Vegas Raiders. Ty Simpson, who many thought wasn't worthy of going in round 1, to the LA Rams at number 13. 310-840-4910 if you want in. You can call us. You can text us at that number. However and wherever you're listening or watching, greatly appreciate it. There is a case that Ty Simpson will have the better career than Mendoza because situation matters that much. It kind of reminds us of a draft 22 years ago, 2004. It was 3 quarterbacks taken in the first 15 picks. You had Eli Manning going number 1 overall. Phillip Rivers soon after that. They ended up having the swap where Phillip plays for the Chargers most of his career. Eli Manning, a Giant his entire tenure, his entire career. And then Ben Roethlisberger went in the teens to the Pittsburgh Steelers. Between those quarterbacks, who had the best career of the bunch? Probably the guy who was in the best situation, and that's Ben Roethlisberger in Pittsburgh. And is it because he had so much more talent than Eli and Phillip Rivers? No. In fact, Phillip Rivers might have been the most talented of the three, but he didn't win a Super Bowl like the other two. And a lot of it has to do with what you stepped into. Given how poisonous Vegas has been, it's far from a stable situation for Mendoza. They are the worst team in the NFL by a wide margin. They have a new head coach. We don't know how it's going to work out. Meanwhile, Simpson might be stepping into the best situation in the league. You can't script a better situation. Second script reference of the segment, by the way. You can't script a better situation for a rookie quarterback to step into. Sean McVay, Puka Nacua, sit behind an MVP in Matthew Stafford. You're a first-round pick, and you don't have any pressure to play right out of the gate. How could you ask for more than that if you're Ty Simpson? You can't. And let's not forget, Ty Simpson was a better football prospect than Mendoza until pretty recently. Are we just going to forget that Fernando Mendoza was an overlooked recruit that couldn't get his hometown Miami Hurricanes to notice him at any point of his college career until they lost to Mendoza in the national championship game? Are we just going to pretend that's not the case? That Mendoza's in Miami, he doesn't go there right out of high school, then he plays in the same conference as Miami. They still don't want him out of the portal after Cam Ward leaves. They prefer Carson Beck. And he played for 2 6 and 7 Cal teams before the miraculous season he had at Indiana. Ty Simpson was a 5-star recruit pursued by Nick Saban. Also was a Heisman frontrunner until early November with the Tide before winning 8 straight. See, this is the part, D-Day, where it is frustrating as hell to talk to, air quote, NFL draft guy who pretty clearly doesn't watch college football. Because Ty Simpson, I'm not overselling this, am I? Ty Simpson, when they won 8 straight games and they're whacking Tennessee and they're flying up the rankings, like Alabama, Ty Simpson is the betting favorite to win the Heisman Trophy when the calendar flipped to November. That's not even an opinion. That's a fact. So, like, we have to forget. We're just going to forget because he got hurt and Fernando Mendoza had the great career and the NFL draft process is what it is, that Fernando Mendoza was somehow not a good player. We got to play that game. You know, because you know ball and you watch college football as much as anybody I know. And I love the college game. I love the college game slightly more than I love the NFL game. And Ty Simpson was a great player. And what we saw in the playoff wasn't the same Ty Simpson we saw the first 2 months, and it's because of injury. And it's pretty blatant. Now, with all of that being said, I'm answering the question Fernando Mendoza. Fernando Mendoza is the safer bet to have a better career, and this is why. Number 1 picks almost never miss as full-on busts. It hasn't really happened since Jamarcus Russell. The closest thing we've seen to a bust as the number 1 pick since Jamarcus Russell in 2007 was Jameis Winston, 2015. And again, bad situations. He's had some good years. Would we call him a full-on bust? Kind of depends on your definition. And Fernando Mendoza what he did at Indiana was so tremendous. And the intangibles and the measurables, he checks all the boxes that you want a quarterback to check. And he was at his best when he played the best teams. And he wasn't playing at a college football powerhouse. So for him to do what he did, I'm going to bank on that. I'm going to bank on that history a little bit more versus a guy who doesn't have a clear path of when he's going to hit the field in Ty Simpson. Also, do we know that Sean McVay is going to be there long-term in LA? I remember when he almost retired a few years ago? That apparently was a really real thing. And who's to say when Stafford's finished, Sean McVay's not saying, okay, now I'm going to do my television career. So there's just so much uncertainty in the future that I will take the guy I know is going to play and bank on the history of players that are taken with that spot. Fernando Mendoza is my pick. But what say you? 310-840-4910 if you want in. Chris Black and Adam Abdallah, who you can listen to on Black and Abdallah noon to 3, weekdays right here on Westwood One Sports. They were in Pittsburgh doing their show earlier today. They were in Pittsburgh all night talking with prospects, 16 of them throughout the evening that were in Pittsburgh. One of the picks they talked to was Ty Simpson. Here's how that conversation sounded. Chris Black, Adam Abdallah exclusively chatting with the story of the night, Ty Simpson going 13th overall to the Los Angeles Rams.
Chris Black and Adam Abdallah joined now by Ty Simpson, who was selected by the Los Angeles Rams with the 13th pick in the 2026 NFL Draft. Congratulations. Did you have any idea that the Rams are going to move up and take you?
No. There were some rumors swirling. It kind of snowballed as we got closer and closer and closer. But I have heard so many things from, just trades that could happen and just the draft in general, the chaos. But sure enough, I saw, one of my best friends, Caden Proctor go before me, and I looked back at my phone, and the Los Angeles number called. And it was something to where I got to talk to Mr. Snead, and I got to talk to Coach, and I can't wait to get out there tomorrow.
What was that phone call like with Snead and then with Coach McVay, and how did that phone call go? And did you think it was a prank at first? Were you like, hey, because last year there were a bunch of prank phone calls that went through, and the NFL tried to keep that a wrap. Did you? What was that phone call like?
It was great. He just was like, hey Ty, this is Les Snead with the Los Angeles Rams. How you doing? And I was like, I'm doing great. Now that y'all called. And he was like, hey, we're gonna, take you with the 13th overall pick in the 2026 NFL Draft. I want to hand you over to your new head coach. And Coach McVay got on there, and his ball of energy was just like, Ty, what's going on, man? This is Sean McVay. Can't wait to get you out here, see you and your family, and let's get started. So it's something that fires me up, and I can't wait.
What's their plan for you? Because obviously the Los Angeles Rams have a starting quarterback in Matthew Stafford. So what a great role model and an example to kind of learn under, right?
Absolutely. I mean, not only is he the reigning MVP, but he's a first ballot Hall of Famer. He's a guy who I respect dearly because of, how he carries himself and how he plays the game. So, the fact that I can sit behind him and learn, how he does things, and then, learn everything from Coach McVay too. I want to learn, how he operates, how, his routine is, how he takes care of his body, how he's able to play for so long and be, so dominant. I want to learn everything about, Matthew, and hopefully, take over and, have as much success as he's had.
What did you learn at Alabama from Kalen DeBoer that will help you in your first year in the NFL?
I think, Coach DeBoer has had a huge impact on my life. How positive he is, how, uplifting he is. But, to always go 1-0. It's always about the next play. It's never about the play that happened before. It's always about, going forward and being where your feet are. Coach Saban is, a man who's very, very important to me, and a guy who I respect dearly, and I wouldn't be here if it wasn't for him. He taught me, to be process-oriented. And so throughout this process going to Los Angeles Rams, I need to make sure that I get my process down.
What was your meetings with the Rams like through the pre-draft process?
Yeah, I really didn't really have any. I had met with the scouts at Alabama. I had, heard some rumors from, my agent saying that they were interested, but, I've only talked to the scouts. And so I'm looking forward to being there tomorrow and meeting those guys.
You mentioned Nick Saban. I read that there was a conversation you had with him about your decision whether to stay in college football for another year or to declare and come out to the NFL this year. What was that conversation like with Coach Saban?
It was something to where, I know, Coach means a lot to me, just like I said. And, how his opinions, are, it weighs on me, and, I respect it. So, I asked him, what did he think? And he said, well, it's not what I think, it's what you think. And, take the rounds out of it, the money out of it. Where do you want to play, ball next year? Do you want to play in the NFL? Or do you want to play in college? And without hesitation, I said I want to play in the pros. I want to play in the National Football League. And he's like, there you go. Go take a chance on yourself. Go enter the draft and go get drafted. And it just so happened to work out to where I got drafted by the Los Angeles Rams.
When you drop back, when are you most dangerous?
When I'm on time. I think that especially that's something that Matthew's really good at. Guys who play on time, you can't stop timing. DB could be anybody, any DB, as long as you on the same page with Puka Nacua and Devontae Adams, then you'll be all right.
What are some of the quarterbacks you watched growing up that you tried to emulate yourself? You're in the backyard playing quarterback. You're a youngster playing quarterback. What did you watch? Who did you watch growing up?
Yeah, so Peyton was my guy growing up. I really enjoyed him. Being a Tennessee guy, get to know him, in the Manning family was something that, it was super cool. I really enjoyed watching Baker. I think that we are very similar in a lot of ways. And honestly, how can I forget, really Matthew? Matthew is somebody who, honestly, I started watching more and more as I got older because of how he played the game and, all the things he did with the Rams.
Your dad's a football coach. What was tonight's moment like to share with your dad?
It was just emotional and surreal. It was something to where he knows how hard we've worked. All the times that he drove me late at night to capture my dreams and go to a college, go to camps, and be at the NFL draft and get drafted. It's just it's great, and I can't thank him and my mom and my family enough for what they've done for me.
Ty, thanks a lot. Congratulations.
Yeah, thank you, guys.
Appreciate it. That's Ty Simpson, selected number 13 overall by the Rams. For Chris Bleck, I'm Adam Abdallah with Westwood One's coverage of the 2026 NFL Draft.
Boom. Nailed it. Like that punctuation, the landing the plane. Those guys are pretty good. We might keep them around. Bleck and Abdallah. Talking with the prospects at the NFL Draft. Ty Simpson. The story of the NFL Draft in round one. We're asking the question, who has the better NFL career, Fernando Mendoza or Ty Simpson? After hearing from the kid, it makes it easier to say him, easier to root for him. 310-840-4910 if you want in. Coming up, the biggest star in this year's NFL Draft, and it might not be the first name you think of, or maybe even the second name you think of either. Keep it here on Westwood One Sports Night.
Westwood One, baby! Fernando Mendoza is the Raiders' new centerpiece. Will he prove to be a franchise quarterback or another Vegas roll of the dice? Westwood One Sports.
At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 4 minutes, 30 seconds. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 4 minutes. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 3 minutes and 30 seconds. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 3 minutes. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 2 minutes, 30 seconds. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 2 minutes. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 1 minute, 30 seconds. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 1 minute. Stations, this is your final time check. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 30 seconds.
Westwood One Sports presents Josh Graham.
At this point, I just want to see how deep Roy's bag for the script is. Because that's 2 script songs back to back. And I don't know how much longer he can go. Break Even, haven't heard that yet. For the first time, that's a banger. Nothing is deep cut script. If you know that song, you know ball. How about we talk about ball? The Kansas City Chiefs moved up from pick 9 to pick 6 to take LSU DB Mansour Delane. And there is a really strong chance that Delane is going to be the star of this NFL draft. If you're looking at the player who might have the greatest impact, the most noticeable impact, maybe a better way to put it, in their rookie season, look no further than the LSU corner who's now a Kansas City Chief. Much like the last time they made a top 10 selection, Kansas City didn't leave much up to chance. It was way back in 2017 when Kansas City aggressively moved up to the 10th pick to select Patrick Mahomes. And we've been around long enough to remember what the reaction that night was. You might remember. What a reach! They already have Alex Smith at quarterback. Patrick Mahomes, Deshaun Watson still on the board. Patrick Mahomes might have been available at their pick. Kansas City, much like in 2017, they identified Delane as their guy. They knew Cleveland was interested in moving back. And because Cleveland was interested in doing so, all you had to surrender to move up to 3 picks was a 3rd and a 5th round draft pick. That wasn't going to stop them from landing their next benchmark institutional star. That's how they view Mansour Delane. And it's very possible that Delane was the reason Kansas City traded Trent McDuffie to the Rams. Let's just go back in the timeline. It was right after the Combine that move took place. And it'd make a lot of sense if the leadership at Kansas City fell in love with Delane. They're picking 9th. Many of the mock drafts at that time had Delane well outside the top 10. Then his name started to heat up a little bit more. The mock started to include him going in the top 10, but most of them still had him at 9. And the McDuffie trade allowed Kansas City to have a second crack at a first-round pick. It allowed them to take who they felt was the best player they could land and then fill need later on in the first round. And that's exactly what Kansas City did. Kansas City feels they just found their star. And maybe one of the biggest stars in the NFL. Kansas City picking again with the 29th pick, and they took the big hulking defensive tackle out of Clemson, Peter Woods. This is why you shouldn't worry about you could have had him at number 9, that knock. Think about who Kansas City is. Kansas City, they don't expect to have access to players like Delane again for a long time. Once again, let me remind all of you, they haven't picked this high since picking number 1 overall in 2013. Since Mahomes was the 10th pick, their pick going into tonight was 9th. They end up picking 6th. The last time they picked higher than 10th was when they had the first overall pick and took Eric Fisher out of Central Michigan. So it's understandable at the cost of a couple later round picks that you don't risk Washington or New Orleans having the same evaluation you did. You didn't want New Orleans to say, you know what, this guy's right in our backyard. Let's just take Mansour Delane. Or Washington deciding to do that. And because Kansas City is likely to be back in the conversation as a contender this season, Delane might be the rookie that is most noticeable. Just by the exposure of being on the Chiefs, Delane could have the greatest impact any rookie we see has on the NFL. And it's obvious that Kansas City believes they just got the star of this NFL draft. Our colleagues, Chris Black and Adam Abdallah, caught up with Mansour Delane at the NFL draft in Pittsburgh, and here's how their conversation sounded.
Chris Black and Adam Abdallah joined now by Mansour Delane, who was selected by the Kansas City Chiefs with the 6th pick in the 2026 NFL Draft. Congratulations. Did you know that the Chiefs are going to move up for you?
Nah, I didn't. But like I said earlier, they always say, like, the teams you least expect to take you. And it ended up happening. But I had it in the feeling I had the back of my head. I was like, I feel like, they need a position, so it might happen. But, it ended up happening. So
during the pre-draft process in your meetings, were the Chiefs talking to you? What did it feel like when you were meeting with that team?
No, for sure. The crazy thing is like the Chiefs were on me the hardest. Like, they never showed any of my good film. I thought I was like, yeah, like, they don't like me at all. And, like, they literally showed not a single good clip. But really just trying to test, to see if I could take coaching. And I think it was, the type of team it is, they're going to challenge you. So I appreciate that.
So what type of player are they getting for the Kansas City Chiefs?
I think, now we're all professionals, but I think you're getting a guy who take care of their business. Like I said, on and off the field, and then you just play the guy who truly loves the process, more than the outcome. So I think that all translates to on the field later.
And you're going to a championship organization. They obviously didn't have a great year last year. They're looking to bounce back and have a huge year this year. What does it mean to be going to a championship organization? What do you bring to that championship mentality coming from LSU?
Sure, that's where you want to be. That's the reason why I went to LSU. I always ran towards the competition, and going against those guys in practice, that's gonna make me better when it comes time to play in the season. So I think you can't ask for anything better. You want to go against the best. You don't want to run away from it.
Well, and there's the spotlight, right?
Oh yeah.
Kansas City Chiefs,
Yeah.
Mahomes, Kelsey,
Yeah.
Taylor Swift. Usually, right? Like there's a big spotlight on the Kansas City Chiefs.
Yeah. Nah, it's cool. I feel like I've always kind of had to come to the spotlight. So I'm really I think pressure is a privilege. So I don't really take too much weight on my shoulders. I just take it day by day and handle my business.
What's it like talking to Coach Andy Reid? Because he seems like he's very business, very football, but he also seems like he's got a good sense of humor. He does the commercials. He seems like he would be fun to hang around with. What's it like talking to Coach Andy Reid?
Nah, he's a cool guy. So funny thing, in our Zoom meeting, like I said, like he showed all my bad clips, and then the last thing he said was, we have to make sure you don't come in here on your high horse. Make sure you come in here humble. Make sure you come in here that you got area to improve, and that's the type of guy he is. And with a joking little tone, but that's literally the type of guy he is. He expects a lot, but at the same time, he's a guy you can make fun with, play around.
When you saw those bad clips that they were showing you, did you say internally like, they're kind of right? I gotta fix some stuff.
No, for sure. I think it was just me being accountable. Not even necessarily bad clips, but like saying what should you have been doing or what could have you done better, and just being accountable and realizing there's still areas of improvement versus somebody cutting on all the obvious plays. The reason why I'm in this position.
Mansour, thank you so much. We appreciate your time.
Appreciate y'all.
Have a good one. That's Mansour Delane, selected number 6 overall by the Kansas City Chiefs. For Chris Bleck, I'm Adam Abdallah with Westwood One's coverage of the 2026 NFL Draft.
Mansour Delane, that guy is going to be a star with the Kansas City Chiefs. If you watched him play at LSU, you just see, he's going to be one of the next great corners. Because what is the track record? How often do you see corners missing in the top 10? The only one that comes to mind, D-Day, is Okudah in the top 5 to Detroit. But other ones in recent years, Patrick Surtain, dog. J.C. Horn, dog. Like those guys, that position, this is actually a really good question maybe to ask. Like, what position do you feel has the highest hit rate if you're taking them in the top 10? If you feel they're good enough to take this guy this high up?
That's a great question. I'm trying to rack my brain. I'm old school. I mean, who was the guy, D. Milner? Remember him when the Jets drafted D. Milner?
I don't know if that was a top 10 pick, though.
I think D. Milner was top 10.
In college. Was he that high? Goodness. That's the case. Because last year there wasn't a DB in the top 20 taken. The year before that, there wasn't one taken in the top 20 either. 23, Witherspoon. That turned out to be a pretty damn good pick. Forgot about him going top 5 to the Seahawks out of Illinois. And then Stingley, that guy's great. Sauce Gardner, it's just... Then J.C. Horn and Pat Surtain. You just go through it. Okudah 2020. That's the only one you circle. And C.J. Henderson that same year. 2020 was a weird evaluation. That was a weird year. What happened in 2020 that might affect teams' ability to scout guys properly? Just saying. I need to know when D. Milner was taken now. It's what I need.
He was 9th overall.
Okay. So there you go. But in recent years, guys at that position, if teams, that's a position that seems pretty easy to scout. That seems to be, it's kind of like, I guess it's late night talk. We can say things such as this. It's like someone asks, well, what's porn? You kind of know if you see it, right? You know it when you see it. It is. With great cornerback play, you just kind of know it if you see it. You just say, they're not throwing to that side of the field very often. Whoa, because 4 is out there. Yeah, number 4. That doesn't seem to be a guy you want to throw the ball to all that much. I have a lot of conviction in it. And Kansas City, they know how important this pick is. They don't get the chance to take the premium players in the draft. They haven't had that shot in a decade. They knew how important this pick was. They had multiple ones. They wanted to get a guy, and not only did they feel so good about him that they took him with a top 10 pick, they pursued it. And there's no way you can tell me that they didn't move off of Trent McDuffie with Mansour Delane in mind a little bit. Hey, we move off of this guy because we feel pretty good that there's this guy available who's going to be able to step in right away and be a star. If you haven't already, make sure you're subscribed to our YouTube channel. It's how you can watch the show in addition to listening to it. We're reacting for the next few hours, man. We're with you for hours on end. So if you want in on our question tonight, hey, who's going to have a better career between Ty Simpson and Fernando Mendoza? We're here, 310-840-4910. That is a call number. That's a text number. But do us a favor, if you haven't already, go to the YouTube channel, subscribe. We already got several reaction videos up, so if you missed it, you might be thinking, why isn't Josh talking about this top story? Why isn't Josh talking about my favorite team? Odds are we already have, and you can find that on the channel going to Westwood One Sports Night or subscribing to our podcast on Apple Podcasts and on Spotify, searching Westwood One Sports Night. Great stuff with Mansour Delane there. We talked about the most polarizing picks in the draft. Jeremiyah Love, 3 to Arizona. Ty Simpson, 13 to the Rams. But what was the best pick of round 1? Who made the single best selection of the night? I have a team, I have a player, and you will hear from that player next on Westwood One Sports Night.
Your team has a chance to change its trajectory overnight.
There's always a couple teams that no one expected that goes worst to first.
The NFL Draft is tonight. The teams you care about and the prospects they could pick. We have the latest news you need to know from your home of the NFL, Westwood One Sports.
At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 4 minutes, 30 seconds. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 4 minutes. At the tone, the broadcast will be in 3 minutes and 30 seconds. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 3 minutes. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 2 minutes, 30 seconds. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 2 minutes. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 1 minute, 30 seconds. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 1 minute. Stations, this is your final time check. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 30 seconds.
Westwood One Sports presents Josh Graham.
I think Mansour Delane might be the biggest star taken in the first round tonight. Kansas City Chiefs, number 6 pick. Doesn't mean it was the best pick of round 1. I'll tell you who that is in a second. But Chance is calling us from Alabama. He doesn't seem to think, 310-840-4910, that Mansour Delane's all that good. Not all he's cracked up to be. Chance, let me start with a very important question to start out. Do you have a college team that you root for? We lost Chance from Alabama. D-Day, we've
You
heard
made him
from
nervous.
Chance before. That's a fair question, right? Out of the rip. That's all the information I had from Roy, is that Chance didn't care much for Mansour Delane. And I see Chance is calling from Alabama. And it is fair to surmise, I think, that perhaps Chance might root for the team that wears crimson down there.
What if he's
Perhaps.
an Auburn guy?
That's possible. Was hanging out with a buddy of mine tonight who's an Auburn fan. He's an interesting guy, my friend. He's an Auburn fan that loves the Montreal Canadiens. Those are kind of the teams that he roots for.
That's a far gap between those two.
Interesting combination. Yes, those two. Coming from the guy who loves the Baltimore Orioles and the Carolina Hurricanes. But we'll get back to Chance in a bit, because let's get to the best pick of round 1 of the NFL draft. That would be the Buccaneers selecting Ruben Bane. That is the best pick of this draft so far. His fall, Ruben Bane's fall. It's a classic example of front offices and scouts completely overthinking it. Bane falls to 15 because he has short arms. Don't cite, oh, it was that car incident. No, they've known about that forever. Bane fell to 15 because he's got short arms. Just like when Micah Parsons fell outside the top 10. How did that go? You think some teams want that one back? Arvell Reese, meanwhile, goes top 5 because he was a combine darling with this amazing frame and, oh, these measurables. Oh, look at the measurables. But he's a far less proven pass rusher that had a lot more weapons alongside him on that defense. Bane is the better rusher, and it's not close. If you watched college football, it's obvious that Bane was he's the best pass rusher in the country. That's why Miami was playing for a national title. Tampa Bay is an ideal landing spot for him. If we were to talk about the best places for Bane to end up, Tampa Bay might be the number one place. But we just didn't think it was a possibility that the best edge rusher is going to be available to Tampa at 15. Todd Bowles, terrific defensive mind. He's calling the Bucs defense as their head coach. Tampa has one of the league's best pocket pushers in Vita Vea inside. It's going to open up pass rushing lanes. And do you know what else is going to open up pass rushing lanes? Having Yaya Diaby on the other side. So that way, you're not going to have any double teams if you're Ruben Bane. Not with Diaby. Not with Vita Vea inside. And they picked up Ashawn Robinson from Carolina. This is a great defense. Antoine Winfield Jr. And let's not forget this. Ruben Bane is a Florida kid that played in-state at Miami. Now gets to play in-state in Tampa. This is a great landing spot for him. He seemed ticked off. He didn't do the thing where you smiled into the little mirror in the camera there when he grabbed the hat. Nah, he was pissed. And he has a strong chance of playing for a playoff team. Despite not winning the NFC South this past season, the Bucs, they're the favorites to win it in 2026. They won the division 4 straight years prior to Carolina winning it this past season. And while Bane undoubtedly was frustrated for falling, and he showed that, he ended up in a terrific destination, a terrific spot. Our guys, Chris Bleck and Adam Abdallah, visited with Ruben Bane one-on-one at the draft. I wonder if he had cooled off at that point. Let's find out together. Here's how their conversation from Pittsburgh sounded earlier tonight. Let's get to Ruben Bane, who we're talking to right now from Pittsburgh. Actually, Chris Bleck and Adam Abdallah caught up with him earlier this evening. We can wait on Ruben Bane. We'll get to that in a second. Let's go to Chance, who's in Alabama first. 310-840-4910. While we locate Ruben Bane from Miami, Chance is from Alabama. So the question I had at the rip of this was, are you an Alabama football fan, Chance? That's an important question to start the bidding here.
Oh, hell yeah.
Okay. Does that influence your opinion at all about Mansour Delane at LSU? Even just a smidge?
No, absolutely not. I'll single-handedly say, I think Alabama's running back wide receiver I think LSU's probably DBU. I'll give that to LSU. I respect their abilities to develop and, corners going into the league. I give that to LSU. They do more with corners in the league probably than any other team. So, no, it has nothing to do with it.
So why don't you like Mansour Delane then?
It's not that I don't like him. It's just you're making it sound like it's gospel. You're making it sound like it's a sure thing. You're making it sound like the Kansas City Chiefs can do no wrong. I mean, we don't know. He may be a bust. There's guys in the first round corners. I could start naming a few.
I'm with you. There are first rounds that are bust. What I'm saying is at that position, we tend to get that one right for guys who were taken that high. Jeff Okudah was the last bust. In 2020, he was taken in the top 10. C.J. Henderson, also a bust, taken in the top 10 that same year. But since then, J.C. Horn, Patrick Surtain, in 2021, and then Devin Witherspoon to Seattle might be the best player pound for pound on that football team. Like, the corners we've seen taken since then have been absolute ball players.
Yeah, I mean, he may turn out to be great. I'm not saying he's going to be bad. I'm not saying he's going to be good. I just, it seems like you got that I don't know, that bias towards the Chiefs that they can do no wrong. I mean, their last five draft picks, Josh Simmons, he can't stay out of rehab or whatever his deal is. Xavier Worthy, the Bills got killed for letting them trade up to get him. He's been a bust in my opinion. Peter Woods, they had a couple good ones.
Peter Woods was taken tonight. Come on now. We don't know if Peter Woods is good or not.
Yeah, I didn't mean to say that. Karlaftis. Who would you rather have?
Karlaftis is a really good player, but let's say this. Can you at least agree that your chances of getting a good player, they're better when you're picking in the top 10 versus when you're picking 27th, 28th, 29th, 30th, 31st, or 32nd?
100% agree with you. 100% agree with you.
Yeah. Hold one second. Chance, I appreciate the call from Alabama. We need to get to Ruben Bane. Let's hear from the man we were saying might be the best pick in round one, Ruben Bane, chatting with Chris Black and Adam Abdallah earlier tonight. And here's how that conversation for Pittsburgh sounded. Appreciate the call, by the way, from Alabama, by the way.
Chris Black and Adam Abdallah joined now by Ruben Bane Jr., who was selected by the Tampa Bay Buccaneers with the 15th pick in the 2026 NFL Draft. Congratulations. Tampa Bay, did you have any idea that Tampa was going to select you this evening?
No, I didn't know who was going to get me this year. So I was just kind of going in on my head, trying to see whatever could be.
You get to stay in state. What does it feel like to be able to kind of stay, not necessarily close to home, but in the state of Florida?
It means a lot. Knowing that I got family that stays in Tampa. Home for me is only 3 hours away. Then I have cousins that play for Tampa, so it's going to be a familiar atmosphere for me, and this will be something I'm ready to do.
What? Tell us about the pre-draft process with Tampa Bay. Was there anything that stood out to you that made you think, like, okay, they kind of like me?
If I would be honest, I didn't really speak to Tampa Bay too much, but God just worked it out for me to be here.
Who are some of the edge rushers that you grew up watching, that you modeled yourself after, that maybe you emulated in college, that you kind of modeled your play after?
My favorite rushers always Myles Garrett and Nick Bosa. They've been guys I've been watching since I think I was in like 8th, 9th grade, and they've been doing it at such a high level, so there's been guys I've always been watching.
Isn't it insane how good Myles Garrett is? Like when I watch, it's just unbelievable. So what do you see from his game that you want to take and add it to your game?
One, like his explosion to burst off the line. Then I'll just say that Ben. I feel like he's almost second to none. He could do everything that he wants to do at that big size and big weight, and he moves as if he's 150, but he could be 270.
When you step onto the field day one, what kind of player are Bucs fans going to get?
Dog. So somebody that's going to be always working each and every day, coming in to work like he ain't got nothing to lose, and I don't. I'm coming in to show people that I'm all about the Bucs.
I like that you said a dog, because the quarterback for your team now, Baker Mayfield, has that in him. He is someone that gives that to the game. What do you think of Baker Mayfield and also just the Buccaneers as a team from what you've seen to this point?
I feel like you can see in Baker his college style and what kind of player he is and how that transitioned over to the NFL. He a dog. He's somebody that's going to lead by example and get his team riled up and going. And that's not more you want from your quarterback. Somebody that's going to lead the team, somebody that's going to get it going, because at the end of the day, he's the head of the snake. And following him is going to be all right.
I noticed on your necklace there's a pendant, there's a picture on it. Who's on that? And can you explain to the listeners who that is and what they mean to you?
It's a picture of my grandmother and a younger me. She passed away when I was 5, so may she rest in peace. But somebody that was a glue to the family, always watched over us, made sure everything was going just fine. And even though she's gone, I know she's still watching over us and making sure we're doing just good to this day.
Ruben, thanks a lot. Congratulations.
Thank you, sir.
Appreciate it. That's Ruben Bane Jr., selected number 15th overall by the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. For Chris Black, I'm Adam Abdallah with Westwood One's coverage of the 2026 NFL Draft.
I think Ruben Bane's the best selection, single selection, round one of the draft. D-Day, what else would you put up against that?
Well, first of all, he seemed thrilled. I mean, when you were saying he wasn't doing like the cheesy fun stuff in the camera, and maybe he's not like just the happiest-go-lucky dude that you've ever heard.
Or he's pissed.
He's angry. I don't think he thought he was going to go 15th overall. I think he was sold a bill of goods by some, maybe multiple organizations that said, hey, if you're available when we're picking at X spot, we're going to take you, and then they all picked somebody else.
Man. Yeah, he did not sound happy at all. But who might be the best pick if it's not Ruben Bane?
It's a toss-up between two, and I hate both of them now. Caleb Downs to Dallas. They're building a defense over there that has the potential to be very frightening. And then Arvell Reese to New York. I mean, you want to talk about a Harbaugh guy? Arvell Reese is a Harbaugh guy.
I just don't like Arvell Reese that much. Again, I've seen that guy. I've fallen in love with that prospect 3 or 4 times. The guy that, and I've been burned for liking that prospect multiple times. So it's a personal thing with me, with Arvell Reese. That's my issue. Caleb Downs, that's a great call. And we'll hear from Caleb Downs in the next hour on the show. Maybe it's one of the 3 Jet picks. Omar Cooper, Kenyon Sadiq, David Bailey. That would make, you could make the argument there. Maybe it's just the simplest possible thing in saying, you know what the best pick was? Fernando Mendoza, number 1 overall to the Raiders. The one thing that we knew we were going to get tonight. You can make a case that this was one of the more unpredictable NFL drafts we've seen in years. Was listening to Nick Costas this morning, and he made that case, and I was jealous I didn't have that take. Because he's right. Hey, this might be one of the more unpredictable drafts. Other than the first pick, we don't really know what we're getting. Because of all the conversations we've been playing, we haven't had a lot of time for calls. So Ty Simpson, Fernando Mendoza, how do you feel about him? 310-840-4910. I like the outlook for both, and I'll tell you why next.
This is Westwood One Sports.
Who picked the best Caleb?
At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 4 minutes, 30 seconds. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 4 minutes. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 3 minutes and 30 seconds. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 3 minutes. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 2 minutes, 30 seconds. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 2 minutes. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 1 minute, 30 seconds. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 1 minute. Stations, this is your final time check. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 30 seconds.
Westwood One Sports presents Josh Graham.
Thought our guy Roy forgot about the script. No, he did not. Bringing it on draft night, where we have a doozy of an update to bring to you. This is the beauty of us being on live and being on late, because guys get to talking, coaches, players, and we get first crack at trying to put the puzzle pieces together, so to speak. So, D-Day, before we hear from Sean McVay, who's sitting next to Les Snead, talking about the Ty Simpson pick, paint a picture with your words for the audience that isn't seeing this but listening to what we're about to hear, of what Sean McVay's body language looks like as he's being asked about his newest quarterback.
So I am no body language expert. I should preface with that. However, the body language of Sean McVay is of a man that did not have any control over what his team did tonight, sitting there, arms not exactly in an open position, no smiling going on there. It's a lot more scowling, and not in like the cool way that's like hip, right? No, it's like I can't control the emotion that's going out on my face kind of way.
Right, but that's just body language. Surely when he was asked about Ty, their 13th overall pick, their highest draft pick, and Lord knows, surely he was more animated then than his body language would suggest. This is the part where I tell Roy to roll tape.
Yeah, I did. I'll keep that between us. We'll see. He's going to compete with Stetson. Yeah, I did.
You know, I'm gonna keep the conversations between us. And he has the thing where like his lip is quivering, where he seems a bit upset. You know, he's gonna compete with Stetson. We're gonna keep 3 quarterbacks now. Stetson, Stafford. Oh, he's just gonna compete. He's going to compete with Stetson, the 13th overall pick in the draft. He's going to compete with Stetson. I hope he makes it. D-Day, I hope he makes the 53.
Man, let me tell you, I am no genius. But if I'm drafting a guy 13th overall at a premium position, I would sure hope he would compete with Stetson Bennett. I don't even know that they should be competing. I would think he would just be given the job.
Did you watch what happened when Stetson Bennett played Alabama? Did you not see this? Les, we've got Stetson. It gets better. Apparently, Ty Simpson went on Sirius XM and said he's never met Sean McVay yet. So, does Sean McVay want Ty Simpson on this football team? We were all wondering, D-Day. Now, this is the part that's key. This is the part that's interesting. Let's revisit the reporting from Jay Glazer earlier tonight, who broke it first. This is the most recent thing he posted. The Rams are drafting Ty Simpson with the 13th pick. Sean McVay told Matthew Stafford today of their decision and made it clear it's for whenever Stafford decides to move on. So let's try to reenact. Now that we know what we know now, based on that reaction, and that he hasn't talked to Ty Simpson, let's try to reenact this phone call, D-Day, between Sean McVay and Matthew Stafford. Would you like to be Stafford since I'll be McVay here? Is that okay with you?
How much dump button do we have? Because my guess is there were a lot of expletives and name-calling in this conversation.
Ring, 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 ring.
Hello, Coach.
Hey, Matthew. I don't know how to tell you this, man. It's kind of bleeped up. They're going to take Ty Simpson tonight. It wasn't me, man. And they told me that he's not going to play the next, as long as you're here, he's not going to play. But just know I'm not happy about this, okay? Between you and me, no one else is going to be able to figure this out. But I hate this, and I just need you to know that, Matthew.
You were a much nicer Sean McVay than I was going to be. Like a much nicer Sean McVay. I mean, there was going to be some MFers here, MFers there. Hey, Matthew, this dumb MFer wants to take this MFing quarterback that I haven't even met before.
No, but here's what's so funny about it, D-Day. So immediately when the pick is made, the reaction from the entire NFL media is, oh my God, is Matthew Stafford okay with this? Is this Jordan Love 2.0? Nobody thought there was a chance that Sean McVay, the coach, was going to be pissed by this. Nobody thought that was possible.
Which I would say is a correct assumption. If you're going to be drafting a quarterback, you would hope the coach would be in lockstep with what's going on.
And Snead and McVay, they're boys. They were hanging out at Cameron Indoor Stadium. I saw them at Duke, Carolina, just in the spring, hanging out.
Well, you know,
these guys are friends.
You know who Les Snead is also apparently boys with?
Who's that?
This is according to Albert Breer. He tweeted this earlier tonight. Rams GM Les Snead and UT Martin head coach Jason Simpson, keep note of that last name, have a very strong relationship to the point where Snead helped advise the family when Jason's son Ty, a.k.a. Ty Simpson, was making a decision on whether or not he wanted to declare for the draft, and now Ty Simpson is a Ram.
Some Jocelyn. Howdy, Denton.
Hi, Conspiracy Josh.
Conspiracy Josh is in the building.
He never left.
Got some thoughts on this Ty Simpson situation. Some thoughts I want to share with you real quickly. Something you maybe hadn't considered. The LA Rams aren't just preparing for life without Matthew Stafford at quarterback. They're preparing for life without Sean McVay as their head coach. The guy almost retired a few years ago. So Les Snead's thinking, hey, man, I don't want to leave anytime soon. So when Matthew Stafford gets out your here and you decide to retire with him and take your cozy little TV job, who's going to be my quarterback? And the answer, Ty Simpson. The answer. Now, what you think about that? What you think about that, Den?
I think that Jason Simpson has a coaching record of 129-96. So if you're going to lose your quarterback and your head coach, you might as well just reunite father with son. If you're going to consult with him to draft his kid, you might as well hire him when Sean McVay pieces out of there.
Takes. They're here. Thank you, Conspiracy Josh. 310-840-4910. If you want in on the NFL draft, we're going to hear from Caleb Downs in about 10 minutes. Bleck and Abdallah catching up with Caleb Downs from the NFL draft. He's the newest Dallas Cowboy. Steve-O is in Dallas. 310-840-4910 if you want in. He has thoughts on the newest Cowboy. I'm excited to hear what Caleb has to say with our guys, which we'll hear from in just a bit. How do you feel about the newest Dallas Cowboy, Steve-O?
Thanks for having me on. First of all, thanks for taking my call. I think the Dallas Cowboys knocked it out of the park. I can't believe Dallas fell that far. I'm a 49ers fan living here in Dallas, and I've gotten to the point where I'm sort of rooting for them a little bit because you feel bad for them. But this is making me nervous a little bit. Like, that defense might be, the best in the NFL next year for all we know. But Malachi Lawrence, Caleb Downs, I think the Cowboys by far won the first round.
By far. Here's the thing. I just didn't love the second pick. I didn't love Malachi Lawrence. I think there's a lot to like, but especially with the uncertainty of Pickens' situation, who signed his franchise tag today, I was thinking at 24, especially, or at 23, with the way that Casey Concepcion was falling, that they would have taken him out of Texas A&M. He ended up being the next pick to Cleveland. I thought they were going to go receiver. Omar Cooper was available at that pick. I would have liked to see Dallas go receiver there.
Well, listening to Dallas radio, that's all I listen to. I don't even listen to any music. I just have the Fan 103 on it. And
Glad you're
these are the
listening
two
to
guys
us right now on it.
Yeah, you're on it, and that's how I discovered you guys, which is awesome. You guys rule.
Thank you, Steve.
But these are the two guys that they were saying they wanted in the first round. Like, these are the two guys they mentioned. I kept hearing them say, and that they wound up getting both of them, which is kind of crazy.
All right. Well, see, I watch a lot of American Conference and Big 12 football, so I've known about UCF for a long time, and UCF, Malachi Lawrence, the pick. We'll see how it shakes out. Appreciate the call from Dallas, and for you listening, Steve-O, it's good to hear from you. D-Day, getting back to Ty Simpson real quick. If Sean McVay isn't super pumped about Simpson being the quarterback, does that dramatically affect the way you think about the situation still? Because even though he's upset, he's having a bit of a tiffy, that doesn't mean that Sean McVay is not going to coach his players anymore. That doesn't mean that Sean McVay is going to neglect Ty Simpson.
He's not going to neglect him, I don't think. But he's not going to love him. He just.
Why not?
You'll get food.
You can't win him over?
I don't know. Sean McVay is the kind of unhappy where I think he is very much judging his options. And we know he's tight with Matthew Stafford. I mean, they were literally vacationing together. That's how Stafford landed with the Rams. Maybe Ty Simpson can win him over in the long run, but can he win him over enough to keep Sean McVay? Because as you mentioned, you brought this up. Those rumors about him potentially leaving to go do television, there was legs to those. And he get paid a boatload to go do television. Oh, my goodness. These big networks would back it up.
Do you want to know the names of the last 3 LA Ram draft picks that were 13 or higher in the draft?
Sure.
Would you like to know their names? 2016, Jared Goff.
Turned out well.
2015, Todd Gurley.
That one actually did turn out well for a little bit.
2014, Aaron Donald.
Now that one turned out really well. So
Good luck, Ty Simpson.
It wasn't a crescendo. It was the opposite of a crescendo. It gradually got worse there. And we'll see
What's the opposite of a crescendo?
Roy, you're the music guy. What is it? It's not a descendo, I don't think. But
Yeah, we need
I haven't taken a
Roy's
music class in a while.
input.
Oh, it is a descendo. Look at me. I'm a music guy.
The opposite of a crescendo is a descendo. Don't say you didn't learn anything from this program. If you take nothing else from tonight, the opposite of crescendo is descendo. We're going to go with that. Caleb Downs.
Decrescendo. My bad.
Oh, decrescendo. Thank you. Sorry. Decrescendo. Descendo. It's late at night. Sorry. My body language might get Sean McVay-like in the next couple of hours. Caleb Downs, as Steve-O is talking about, pretty pumped to be a Dallas Cowboy. Our team at Westwood One Sports caught up with him one-on-one. You'll hear what he had to say, and we'll talk about the NFC East night as a whole next on Westwood One Sports Night.
Westwood One, baby! Fernando Mendoza is the Raiders' new centerpiece. Will he prove to be a franchise quarterback or another Vegas roll of the dice? Westwood One Sports.
At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 4 minutes, 30 seconds. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 4 minutes. At the tone, the broadcast will be in 3 minutes and 30 seconds. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 3 minutes. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 2 minutes, 30 seconds. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 2 minutes. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 1 minute, 30 seconds. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 1 minute. Stations, this is your final time check. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 30 seconds.
Westwood One Sports presents Josh Graham.
Yeah, I'm still alive, but I've been breathing. Are you timing this, Roy, that the Westwood One Sports Night pronounced voice introduces me right at the part that you're supposed to sing in the script song? Because that's next level production on your end, behind the scenes. 310-840-4910. Yeah, you're crushing it, Roy. 310-840-4910. Give Roy a call and tell him how great of a job he's doing, and also let him know if you have any thoughts on our question of the night, which is Ty Simpson or Fernando Mendoza. Who has the better NFL career? 310-840-4910 if you want in. A lot of the script playing tonight. That was not on the script. It just ended up working out that way, and I don't object to it. Another thing that wasn't quite scripted is that the Dallas Cowboys had Caleb Downs fall right into their lap. I was about to say at number 12, but they traded with the Dolphins up one pick to take him at 11. Caleb Downs out of Ohio State, who might be pound for pound the best player in this draft, is now part of a formidable Dallas defense. Our guys, Chris Bleck and Adam Abdallah, had a chance to catch up with Caleb Downs one-on-one out in Pittsburgh, and here's how that conversation sounded.
Chris Bleck and Adam Abdallah joined now by Caleb Downs, who was selected by the Dallas Cowboys with the 11th pick in the 2026 NFL Draft. Caleb, walking across that stage, did you have any idea that Dallas was going to take you tonight?
I think when I walked across the stage, yeah, I kind of knew because they had called me. But, I mean, I was just so blessed and feel so highly favored to be in that situation. I'm so thankful for it. And I'm looking forward to the opportunity to get to work and put the work in and do everything that I need to do.
Going from a great college like Ohio State and going to a great organization, a historic organization like the Cowboys, what does it mean going from one just to the next one?
Yeah, I mean, it's a great brand. They do a great job with everything they do there, and I'm proud to be a part of it, and I'm looking forward to it, honestly. So, yeah, I'm excited to get to work.
We've talked to a few of your teammates who have come through here tonight,
Yeah.
and there's a lot of Ohio State Buckeyes being selected this evening here in the first round of the draft. Did you guys have a friendly competition? Did you guys talk about this night, such an exciting night for all of you?
I mean, we definitely talked about it. I mean, we were around each other the whole process, so there's a lot of love there, and everybody wants to see each other win. I feel like that's the biggest thing. So, so much excitement for everybody, and looking forward to how everybody else does. I just see Casey Conception got picked. I'm sorry.
Yeah, what do you think of Casey Conception getting picked?
Nah, great people. And him and Dylan, they were with me at Exos in Arizona, so got a chance to grow in a relationship with each of them. So excited for both of them.
What's it like talking to Jerry Jones and getting the phone call from Jerry Jones and being on the other side of that line?
I honestly couldn't hear what he said. There was a lot of yelling going on. But, I mean, I appreciate Mr. Jones for the choice that he made, and I look forward to being able to see him tomorrow and shake his hand and tell him I appreciate it and excited to go get to work and put my best foot forward.
What type of player are the Dallas Cowboys getting in the selection of you tonight?
Yeah, I mean, they're getting somebody that's committed to the program, somebody that's going to come in and make an impact, make plays on the field. I feel like that at the end of the day, I'm a playmaker. That's what I do. So whether it's in the deep part of the field, close to the box, I feel like I can do it all. So I'm just looking for that opportunity, and, yeah.
How has playing at Alabama, Ohio State, prepared you playing against the best, for some of the best, translated to playing in the NFL?
Yeah, I mean, competition is the biggest thing, and iron sharpens iron at the end of the day. So I feel like playing against the guys that I played against my freshman year and then the past 2 years at Ohio State, I feel like that's something you can't really replace, and I feel like it makes you ready to go play at a high level.
Have you heard from any of your future teammates, Dak Prescott, anyone else from the Cowboys tonight?
Honestly, I haven't been on my phone, so not a clue. But Tyler Booker was downstairs, so it was great to hug him and be back together with my former teammate.
When you turn it on, just set it on the desk and watch it just vibrate across.
I've heard it buzz a couple times
thing.
in my pocket over the last couple of minutes, but we're just trying to stay locked in on the moment. So, yeah.
Congratulations, Caleb. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
That's Caleb Downs, selected number 11 overall by the Dallas Cowboys. For Chris Bleck, I'm Adam Abdallah with Westwood One's coverage of the 2026 NFL Draft.
Love that from them. Daily Row writes in on Westwood One Sports Night YouTube. Josh, I hope you paid Bleck and Abdallah to do your entire show. As somebody who actually, for a week, co-hosted that show, I think this is a nice return payment. Wouldn't you say this is a fair home and home D-Day? If I'm actually sitting there and a weekly guest throughout college basketball season with the guys, that this is a nice return, I think, on that deal if we're going to make it like a draft night deal.
I was going to say, the college basketball season, you were the man.
It's true. You know, we shared meals. We're teammates here. Bleck and Abdallah doing this show. You know, I do their show, and, you know, we talk about Drake Toll's hair. These are all equivalent things, right? Who has the best hair on the network? It's Costos, right?
No, it's me.
Oh, I forgot. 2026.
Yeah, famously bald. Denton Day
Bald
has
is
the
beautiful.
best hair.
Bald is beautiful.
I mean, think about it. Who actually has good of the hosts? Who actually has good hair?
I think Costos does.
He does not.
Jim Rome has great lettuce.
Yeah,
at his
Rome
age.
maybe. Costos is doing too much with his hair. You got to let it go. There's too much.
Abdallah's is fine. Do I belong in the conversation at all? Any consideration?
No, respectfully. Like
That was
you
very
and Linnell just have like regular hair. You know what I mean? We need some pizzazz. I need you to grow your hair out. Have you ever grown your hair out?
Yes.
How'd it look?
I look like a beetle. It just like and like in the 60s. It's
kind of what
like,
Costas looks like now.
No, I like Costas' hair. I think he'd be the vote. 310-840-4910. Who has the best hair on the network? While we're fielding those, D-Day, how do you feel about the NFC East's night as a whole? Because, well, let's talk about what we didn't see first. George Pickens signs his tender, but he doesn't get moved tonight. A.J. Brown, he didn't get moved either with the Philadelphia Eagles. But what did Philadelphia do tonight? They took Makai Lemon out of USC. So you added Hollywood Brown. You picked up Dontavian Wicks in a trade from Green Bay. You added Elijah Moore, too. And now you've got Makai Lemon. What is A.J. Brown thinking tonight? Is he already just... Is he contacting the realtor saying, yo, we might need to get popping on this house here. Might need to put this thing on the market.
I mean, something tells me that he might already have a down payment good to go in Boston. I'm ready to go. Just say the word on there because we know he's going to get traded post June 1. So you got to wait a little bit.
If only there was an NFL insider with some information on the New England Patriots that could help us figure out what the Patriots.
And then Schefter swooped in and stole it when she was going through a hard time.
Yeah. Somebody, we'll update that situation in about 10 minutes. We'll get to that because Mike Vrabel did speak on the subject, have some thoughts on that. But looking at the NFC East as a whole, we mentioned what they didn't do. What did happen, Washington, which doesn't have a pick for a while, decides, we're going to take Sonny Styles at 7. How is the district taking this news? Is Linnell okay?
You'd have to ask him. He's going to be a future first ballot Hall of Famer, though. I think that's confirmed. Sonny Styles.
Linnell?
No, not Linnell. Sonny Styles. I mean, maybe Linnell, but Styles fit him for the gold jacket. Arbel Reese, bust. Caleb Downs, bust. Francis Maui-Noah, bust. Makai Lemon, bust. Yeah, just hate to see it.
I just texted Linnell the letter U up, ?
Yeah, he's on air right now.
Oh, he is?
Yeah, he's doing local radio.
I didn't know. When does he get off?
2, I think.
Hey, now, I'm asking the right questions. Might need his opinion on that subject. See how he feels about one Sonny Styles going 7th overall. In theory, I like what the Giants did. In theory. I'm not an Arbel Reese guy. I love Ruben Bane. I'm good with David Bailey. Not an Arbel Reese guy. So, conceptually, I buy what the Giants are doing, what the Giants are selling. Let's build this thing in the trenches out. And Maui Noah, CC Maui Noah falling to 10, that is a coup. It's outstanding. I just wish they would have taken Ruben Bane at 5 rather than Arbel Reese. I wish they would have taken Jordan Tyson at 5 rather than Arbel Reese. Just didn't love that selection. It is a good question to ask. Between the teams that had multiple first-round draft picks tonight, who did the best? I didn't love the Cowboys' second pick. Love the fact that Caleb Downs fell to them. Love what Kansas City did. Going with Woods, going with Delane, but with Omar Cooper on the board at 29, kind of like with the Cowboys pick. Wish they would have taken Omar Cooper with that selection there. I think the answer is probably the New York Jets. You know what? I take that back. Cleveland moving back from 6 to 9 and getting some offensive line help and then getting a little bit of something from Dallas too, and getting Casey Concepcion at 24? That's my answer. You move back and get Fano and Concepcion. Shout out to Cleveland. Think they did it the right way tonight. While we've got a moment here, how about for the first time of this in this show that's been on for hours already, how about a non-NFL draft check-in on all the other sports that are happening? The NBA. How are Knicks fans doing tonight? The way that game ended, holy cow. You're up a point. CJ McCollum, who's trying his best ever since Jennifer asked him to on X years ago, hits the pull-up J on the right elbow, puts him ahead, and then Jalen Brunson do not know what he was going for on that last possession. You don't pull it up from three. You then go baseline. You don't pull up there. And then you just do this herky-jerky wild pass towards Josh Hart that ends up in a turnover and the time runs out on the Knicks. And now they're down 2-1. I wouldn't freak out about this. Knicks fans probably are. But it's a best-of-7 series. It went back to Atlanta. Atlanta protected their home court. You got to win Game 4. Plain and simple. You win Game 4, you're still feeling pretty good about yourselves with 3 games potentially left in the series. The Oklahoma City Thunder are going to be without Jalen Williams for weeks. That seems newsworthy. Jalen Williams, who missed half the regular season, grade 1 left hamstring strain. They say it's week to week that they're going to be looking at this. Meanwhile, the LA Lakers might be getting Austin Reeves, might be getting Luka back. They're up 2-0 on Houston. D-Day, are we at the point? Roy's fist pumping. He's happy. Are we at the point now where we need to be starting to take LA seriously? If Jalen Williams might not be back for the start of that series, and Reeves and Luka are back with LA, are the stars aligning here?
Well, when you say take them seriously, I think you were the only one that wasn't.
No, in terms of them winning the series. I don't think.
No.
Were people saying they should? Okay, so you're still not going that far.
I'm not going to win, but I've always thought they would be able to push OKC. I don't think this year's OKC team is as good as last year's OKC team. I think they're much more vulnerable. They'll still beat Los Angeles, but they're much more vulnerable.
So without Jalen Williams out there, though, you don't think LA, you said LA is going to be competitive even before we knew Jalen Williams was going to be out. Without J-Dub, you're not at the point where you say LA wins the series?
Because of the way that Jalen Williams has dealt with injuries, he is, when I say that they were never that, I have just always kind of thought he's probably not going to be 100%. So this isn't like crazy news as far as I'm concerned.
I'm a big CJ McCollum fan. In Greensboro, America, knocking off Duke in a 15-2 with Lehigh way back in the day. And then the Mike Tyson impression. I broke my back, spinal. The Jennifer exchange. I'm a fan of CJ McCollum's work. Toronto, that series isn't over yet. They won Game 3, 2-1 Cleveland still. Not a series till the road team wins, am I right? Minnesota protects its home court. They're up 2-1. What did you say?
Bloodbath. They beat the snot out of Denver. I mean, it wasn't from the jump.
Ayo! DeSumo. Big fan of his work. I think he had 25 off the bench. Anthony Edwards not even really having to do all much of anything. Still win that game. So there you go. That's the non-NFL draft. Oh, and the Carolina Hurricanes are up 3-0 in their series against Ottawa. Howdy. How you doing? Just going to throw that out there as well. Go Canes. Coming up, at last, finally, Mike Vrabel got something right. Keep it here on Westwood One Sports Night.
Every pick, every reaction, every move in real time. It's exclusive first-round draft coverage on your official home of the NFL, Westwood One Sports.
At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 4 minutes, 30 seconds. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 4 minutes. At the tone, the broadcast will be in 3 minutes and 30 seconds. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 3 minutes. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 2 minutes, 30 seconds. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 2 minutes. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 1 minute, 30 seconds. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 1 minute. Stations, this is your final time check. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 30 seconds.
Westwood One Sports presents Josh Graham.
Would love to have Linnell stream himself listening to script songs for the first time, including the song For the First Time, just to see if he'd dig it or not. This is Westwood One Sports Night. I'm Josh Graham. We need to talk about a PR disaster of epic proportions by Mike Vrabel, Diana Rossini, and the New England Patriots. There is something positive that we will say about Mike Vrabel in just a second. But it's important to note, if Vrabel didn't flat out lie initially, same for Diana Rossini, but maybe not to the same degree, certainly with Vrabel, this story would not be dominating the NFL draft. Right now, got the TV on in the studio, and it's Mike Vrabel on the screen. If Vrabel just owned up to it then and said, yep, you got me, messed up, apologized to his family, committed to counseling then even, there would be no need to continue digging in on the relationship. We certainly wouldn't have on draft day leaked photos from 6 years ago distracting from draft night, where you want to talk about interlocking fingers, D-Day? How about interlocking lips? And a detail that's key from the story, that those photos were dated March 11th, 2020. That date is significant. That's the night that it felt like the world was crashing down. Rudy Gobert testing positive for COVID, and you had the game getting canceled, and then the league getting canceled, and Tom Hanks had it, and Fred Hoiberg in Nebraska is being isolated in the locker room and sequestered. We all thought the world was going to end. And what's Diana Rossini and Mike Vrabel doing? Pecking one another with their mouths. That's what the story said. Multiple pecks. Multiple pecks. So that's not great. And then there's more TMZs now on the case. Probably jealous the New York Post is getting all this love. Page 6. We now have from 2024. They were at a casino together. Vrabel and Diana Rossini. So yeah, spare us any comment on these two weren't having an improper relationship. Obviously they were. Mike Vrabel and Patriots PR finally made a smart decision in this. And they decided, let's have Mike speak right before the draft begins tonight. This really is PR 101. Or maybe this is masterclass PR. They know that the draft is going to bury the newsworthiness of these comments. D-Day, if Mike Vrabel spoke at 8 p.m. Eastern last night and we didn't have the draft, how quickly are we getting to that headline tonight? Is that our lead? Probably.
If he spoke yesterday, would it be the lead today? Would have been the lead yesterday.
That's what I'm saying. It'd be the lead last night if he spoke at 8 p.m. That's how big of a story it is. We're hours into this show. Haven't even brought up this story. Haven't brought up what Vrabel says because he knows, hey, the draft's about to start at 8 o'clock, so I'm going to speak at 7:15, 7:20, less than an hour before the draft. And he knows, he can say now, well, I've already addressed the subject. And he doesn't have to speak to the media for another month. At that point, we'd be moving on to something else and won't care anymore. So here was the first piece from Mike Vrabel acknowledging wrongdoing.
Again, I just want to reiterate the gratitude that I had the other day that you guys have shown in a personal and private matter. You know, I want to address the news regarding my current situation. I understand that there are questions I take accountability for my actions and the actions that cause the distraction to the people that I care most about. My family, this football team, the organization, and our fans. You know, my previous actions don't meet the standard that I hold myself to. They don't. And what I believe is best for the two most important things in my life, my family and this football team.
Thank you. Heard enough from you. Can I tell you a pet peeve I have in situations like this? Stop saying you're taking accountability for something when you're not taking accountability for something. Here's my definition of accountability, and you let me know. Actually, see if you can find the Webster's definition of accountability. I'd like to know what it is. Coaches say this, and it's a cliche. You know, I'm just going to be accountable for it. And then someone goes to ask a question. Well, no, I don't have anything more to say about it. And I'm also not going to tell you exactly what I did. My definition of accountability is you're owning something in a public way, regardless of how it might make you look, regardless of the consequences that come from it. Like Mike Vrabel, he didn't actually say what he did. And we just accept that because, he's never going to do it. But that's what accountability is. And I'm not going to speak any more on the subject, is what he said in his opening statement. Well, then you're not being accountable for it. Because if you're accountable for it, you answer the questions that people have and you be accountable. What does Webster say about the word accountability?
It is an obligation or willingness to accept responsibility or to account for one's actions.
Yeah. Don't think that's what Mike Vrabel's doing. Appreciate him speaking. Think it's smart from a PR perspective. And, credit to the Patriots local media. Somebody in there followed up and said, you know what? Regardless of you saying you're not going to talk about it anymore, I'm not acquiescing to that. I don't work for you. I don't work for the Patriots. I'm going to ask you about it. And the question he asked was a good one, whoever this reporter was, saying, hey, why did you go from saying that this is a joke and shouldn't be taken seriously to what you said last week on Tuesday, the little statement that you tried to hide and put out there, to now saying that you're going to counseling and missing day 3 of the draft? And here was Mike Vrabel's response.
That's a private and personal matter. I don't think that those comments, I think that was, always an attempt to protect your family, and I would never be dismissive. But no, I think my family and this football team are the most important thing, and that's what I plan to do. And I'm excited about the challenge with both of those things.
Mm-hmm. At least that's honest. Hey, I said it because I'm trying to protect my family. Trying to get this thing over with as soon as possible. By lying. That's the way to do it. But the reality is, as we've talked about ad nauseum, you don't have to tell the truth and be a good football coach. Sadly. What Mike Vrabel did is no worse, no better than what Diana Rossini did. They're both wrong in what they did. But professionally speaking, there's no way that Diana Rossini is going to be able to bounce back from this. Because she lied at first, and then she lied in her statement last week, and now she's deleting her X account, did that during Vrabel's presser, and that following that she had on that page, that's going to be really hard to recreate. Good luck with that. And you just can't simply work in the reporting space and sleep with your subjects you cover and get caught in a lie on multiple occasions when your currency in this profession is built on trust. Just can't. And Mike Vrabel did a smart PR thing today by speaking, but miss all of us with the idea that that's what accountability looks like. Because no, it is not. Let's go to Michael, who's in Houston. Michael, you're on Westwood One Sports Night. What do you have for us on this draft night? We got about a minute. Michael, you're with us from Houston, 310-840-4910. What's on your mind this draft night? Guess he's not home. It's late at night. That happens. This is another pet peeve, what happens in the draft. Because Fernando Mendoza is the number one pick and everybody knew it was going to be the number one pick, suddenly it's less interesting to talk about him. Oh, everybody saw it coming. But let's not overlook the fact that Mendoza still is the best story in this draft. Maybe it's not as newsworthy because, again, so much was unpredictable. But a year ago, this guy was a complete unknown. He was off back-to-back 6 and 7 seasons at Cal. Yet, at Indiana, played so well, ended up being the number one pick in the draft with no drama whatsoever attached to it. That's what you get when you enjoy one of the greatest college football seasons we've ever seen. One of the best stories ever, Indiana winning a championship in football and the first team to ever go 16-0 in college. That's staggering. And you are a Miami kid denied by Miami multiple times playing for the hometown Hurricanes. And then in Miami, you beat the Hurricanes for your national championship to close your career. That's nuts. And by the way, another dumb take. Oh, he's big time in the draft by not being there. How about wanting to share the moment with his family? A gigantic family, including a mom that's struggling with MS, not wanting to have her travel. That sounds like probably the right priorities and the right place to be. Coming up, you'll hear from the number 2 pick in the draft, Jets edge rusher David Bailey. That plus Graham's gambling next.
This is Westwood One Sports.
At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 4 minutes, 30 seconds. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 4 minutes. At the tone, the broadcast will be in 3 minutes and 30 seconds. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 3 minutes. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 2 minutes, 30 seconds. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 2 minutes. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 1 minute, 30 seconds. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 1 minute. Stations, this is your final time check. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 30 seconds.
Westwood One Sports presents Josh Graham.
This is the best script song. It's taken a while, but we got there. For the first time, D-Day, are you familiar with the script, or is it just me and Roy vibing here?
I know like 3 songs, bro. You guys lost me like 2 hours ago.
Is this one of them?
I couldn't tell you what this is.
She's all laid up in bed with a broken heart.
Even I didn't know this one. You introduced me to this one.
Okay. See, Roy didn't even know this one. That's the best script song. There's one person probably listening in Ireland, where they're from, and saying, yo, this is my show. The script, we're about it. It's draft night. David Bailey caught up with Bleck and Abdallah. Chris Bleck, Adam Abdallah of Bleck and Abdallah fame out in Pittsburgh. You'll hear that conversation momentarily with the number 2 pick in the draft. But let's actually hand out some bets right now first. It is time for Graham's Gambling.
Sitting back, count money all day, you know. It's time for Graham's Gambling. Let's make some money.
Yeah, D-Day, what was the mistake I made a couple of days ago on the program? What was something you identified as a mistake in my logic, a mistake in my approach?
I need another hint.
I said that I had gone 13-2.
Oh, you were bragging about your record. You should know better than that. You have a gambling segment every night. You should know better.
It's a problem. It's a problem. Because revisiting our draft night bets, Jordan Tyson 11-1 to go in the top 5. There's some long odds. He did not go in the top 5. He went 8th to the New Orleans Saints. Jordan Tyson to be the first wide receiver taken in the draft. That didn't happen either. Had me feeling pretty tough. Carnell Tate went 4th to the Titans. The only person feeling worse than I do about that is the guy who showed up at the draft tonight wearing a number 4 Jeremiyah Love Titans jersey. Shout out to that fan. He's probably having a rough one. We did get it right. The Ravens taking an offensive lineman with their first pick. And that being Vegas Iamwe. Nailed it. The guard from Penn State. We got that right. We're happy about it. Ruben Bane did not go in the top 10. We did not get that right. So it was not a profitable evening when it comes to the draft. We have been hot on baseball. So you know what we're going to do? We're going to hand out a couple of baseball bets. Taking some plus money with the Cincinnati Reds with Andrew Abbott on the mound. I think Cincinnati's been fine. Know that Andrew Abbott is an all-star caliber pitcher. Robert Valdez at Detroit, they're not off to the best start. Great American Ballpark getting plus money. We're going to take the Cincinnati Reds to win tomorrow evening. The Cleveland Guardians have Gavin Williams on the mound. He's a Pirate. Toronto hasn't been all that good this year. Mad Max Scherzer, not all that great either. That guy's pretty old. I like Gavin, and I'm going to, a little bit of juice, minus 131. But we're going to take the juice. We're going to take Cleveland money line to beat Toronto. So a couple of baseball bets. The NBA scares me. Just staying away. I almost, on general principle, want to take the Lakers plus 9.5 at the Rockets, but just too much. There's just too much confidence from folks in Lakerland without Luka and without Reeves, and now the series, they're going on the road. So just don't want to do that. Don't want to lay 6.5 with Boston going to Philly. Do I want to take the Trailblazers against the Spurs without Victor? You know what, D-Day? 2.5 is not a great number. At that point, you just go money line. But you know what? I'm going to take it with the spread. I'm going to take the Trailblazers at home, game 3 plus 2.5 against the Wemby-less San Antonio Spurs. So there is your NBA bet for Friday night. In review, we're on the Reds, we're on the Guardians, we're on the Portland Trailblazers against the San Antonio Spurs. Those are our bets for Friday night. Ariel Epstein, she's going to be joining us on a Friday night, Westwood One Sports Night, giving us some NBA playoff props for the weekend. Maybe some baseball talk too. But how about we transition to David Bailey, one of the newest New York Jets. They selected 3 players tonight, 3 really exciting players. David Bailey had his 30 visit canceled, and then we played the sound where he was talking about the Jets GM, but accidentally referred to him as Monty, who's the Cardinals GM. Weird stuff there. Sure, it came up with Black and Abdallah talking to David Bailey, our correspondents at the draft in Pittsburgh. Here was Jets edge rusher David Bailey.
Chris Black and Adam Abdallah joined now by David Bailey, who was selected by the New York Jets with the 2nd pick in the 2026 NFL Draft. What was it like to walk across that stage and put a Jets hat on?
It was surreal, man. I mean, the moment when I got the call, man, I was kind of a little bit of shock. And then you're walking up that stage and you start feeling the energy of the crowd, man. You start hearing them, and then when you get out there, man, it's overflowing joy. So yeah.
And what were the meetings like? Because the talk was last week that the Jets canceled their meeting, and then everybody was assuming that they knew what they were going to do, and there was all this speculation. And how did that whole thing go last week?
Yeah, man, it was interesting, man. Obviously, this is my first time in the process, so I didn't know really what to expect with them canceling the meeting. But I knew I was confident in my prior interactions with them, interacting with them at the combine, and then interacting them with a little bit before my pro day at a little steakhouse. So I was confident in those. I feel like we had established a great relationship, so I'm excited.
I would say also you got to be confident in the tape that you put out there.
Yes.
In your career in college, you did quite a great job, especially getting after the quarterback.
Yeah.
So it speaks for itself, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, for sure, man. I mean, obviously, I took steps each year, improved. matured mentally, matured physically. So, I was just happy to see the success I had, for myself, but also my team, and I just wanted to get back to winning. So it was a lot of fun playing with the Red Raiders.
Who are some of the former players that you emulated and kind of modeled yourself after growing up and watching football?
Yeah, I mean, main guy is Von Miller, man. I watched a lot of Von. I started watching Von probably maybe like freshman year. Just watching little cut-ups here and there. But I think I really started taking off like after my sophomore year. Going on YouTube, making cut-ups, going on the field, watching those cut-ups, and trying to emulate those moves. Trying to move like him, and he's obviously unique. So some things I couldn't do what he's doing, but definitely want to model my game after Von.
Who's someone that has helped you along the way to get to this point tonight?
I mean, dude, like I can name off of the whole laundry list of people. Obviously, the number one that comes to my mind is my mom. Just always being constant support, no matter what happened, no matter what up and down I'm facing. I got coaches that have been with me since I was a kid. Coach Bobby, Coach Les. I've played on great youth football teams, great coaches in high school. Man, Coach Rollinson helped me a lot. It was just a lot of fun playing for him. And then going to Stanford. Also meeting great coaches. I could just keep going on and on about the people that have helped me. So
you're going to a defensive team, defensive-minded head coach. What are you bringing to the Jets? What do you want Jets fans to know day one when you step on the field?
I want to know that, man, I'm an explosive pass rusher, man. I'm looking to get after the quarterback, but also, man, I could play the run, and also I'm a versatile ball player, man. I've played on numerous defenses. I've played off-ball linebacker. I've dropped from the line. I've played in the box, played in the forte. I've done a lot of different things, so I'm open to anything. I'm looking forward to the way Glenn utilizes me in his defense. So yeah.
Can I show you something real quick? Okay, so
this
is a picture of you playing in an era where everyone's wearing gloves, everyone's arm wraps, everyone's got the armbands on. You are wearing nothing on your arms. Is that something that you do normally, and why are you wearing nothing on your arms?
Yeah, man. I mean, it's just like I've always liked the way I feel at practice, man, just playing free in a loose jersey, no gloves. So I was like, and then, you get to game time, you think you got to switch it up. And I was like, one day I was like, let me just keep it the same.
It can get cold in New York now.
It can, yeah. And I might have to adjust to that. But for now, my mindset is the same, man. It worked. I felt good getting out there with the way I was dressed. So, yeah.
Thanks, David. We appreciate it,
I
man.
appreciate y'all having me. Thank you. Appreciate y'all.
That's David Bailey, selected number 2 overall by the New York Jets. For Chris Black, I'm Adam Abdallah with Westwood One's coverage of the 2026 NFL Draft.
Yeah, make sure you listen to Black and Abdallah noon to 3 right here on Westwood One Sports. Do you think those guys are just going to do 3 hours straight of playing these interviews on Westwood One Sports night or on Black and Abdallah?
Hell yeah, I would. Exclusives.
Pretty strong stuff. Those guys working hard. Except for when they went to Permanente Brothers and took a picture, but then didn't show us how long the line was. So I thought that they had gone to eat and grab a sandwich at Permanente Bros. But shocker, when the draft's in town, line might be a little lengthy. Just a hair lengthy. Hot Carlito writes in, he wears nothing on his arms because he has long arms. You know who doesn't have long arms? Ruben Bane, falling to 15. But which of the New York Jets' 3 picks was best? Between David Bailey at 2, Kenyon Sadiq. I keep wanting to call him Sadiq Bey. I keep wanting to do that. I haven't made that mistake yet, but just know that's where my brain is. Kenyon Sadiq, the Oregon tight end, at 16. And then the Jets at the end of round 1 so that they can get this player with a 5th-year option, Omar Cooper, free-falling to the end of round 1. Which of those picks do you like the most for the New York Jets?
I mean, I love the Kenyon Sadiq pick. I think he's a freak athlete, and if you utilize him right in a good offensive system, there's a lot of upside with what he can do. And Geno is not the answer long-term for New York, but whoever they end up getting in next year's NFL draft, it's going to be a very nice luxury to come into a system that has a really good wide receiver in Garrett Wilson, has a guy in Omar Cooper that could be a good receiver, but then has a tight end in Kenyon Sadiq and Mason Taylor for that matter. They got two really good tight ends. You're going to come into a system with a lot of weapons, and that's a really nice luxury for a young quarterback to have. So I know the Jets get ragged on a lot for reasons that honestly they should, but I thought they had a really good night in night number one.
Yeah, love all three of those players. No issue with it. Thought it was a really nice draft for them. So you get to have the draft day Cleveland Browns type of moment where you have the montage at the end. They got these game-changing players, 3 of them on the same night. They got Putney, the kick returner, and they got what's-his-face that was played by Chadwick Boseman, and they got Arian Foster. Got them all. You can have that moment if you're a Jet fan. There is some audio that we need to find a way to bring to you, because it's audio that affirms what I believe to be the worst pick of the night. So how about we just frame it this way? What was the best pick of round one? What was the worst pick of round one? We have answers on both counts, plus one more NFL draft pick that you'll hear from tonight on Westwood One Sports Night.
Your team has a chance to change its trajectory overnight.
There's always a couple teams that no one expected that goes worst to first.
The NFL Draft is tonight. The teams you care about and the prospects they could pick. We have the latest news you need to know from your home of the NFL, Westwood One Sports.
At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 4 minutes, 30 seconds. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 4 minutes. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 3 minutes and 30 seconds. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 3 minutes. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 2 minutes, 30 seconds. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 2 minutes. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 1 minute, 30 seconds. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 1 minute. Stations, this is your final time check. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 30 seconds.
Westwood One Sports presents Josh Graham.
Chris Black of Black and Abdallah said the best interview out of the 13 players that they spoke with at the NFL draft was Francis Maui Noah, the offensive tackle from the Miami Hurricanes that is now... Who ended up taking Francis Maui Noah? Denton? Top 10 pick.
The Giants.
It was the Giants at 10. That's exactly right. So we'll hear from the newest New York Giant in just a bit. First time I've had that slip where I'm like, oh, I know what college team he plays for. Who's the team that ended up taking this guy? And we're asking this question right now. What was the best pick of the night? What was the worst pick of the night? Last call for phone calls at 310-840-4910 if you want in. What was the best pick? What was the worst pick? We need to talk about what might be the worst pick of the night. Not because of the player, but because of the team. The Arizona Cardinals drafting Jeremiyah Love. It's the hardest pick to defend. Not because Jeremiyah Love isn't a great running back. He is. He's fabulous. The issue is the football team that took him is not close to competing, and it seems they know this. It seems they do. They got to know that you have a first-year head coach and that you're in a division that saw every team win 12 or 13 games last year, including the Super Bowl champion Seahawks. They got to know that. And they know what they didn't do at quarterback this offseason. They got Jacoby Brissett at quarterback, and he's not even participating in the offseason program right now, which might be the funniest potential holdout if we were to get it. Oh, my God! What are we going to do? Jacoby Brissett's not in camp. So they select the running back, which is not a premium position. It's not. And it's a position that usually has shorter shelf life than other positions. See, running back, getting an elite one, drafting an elite one, that should be reserved for teams that already have a lot of their stuff figured out. They are luxury items. They are, a running back is a lot like a Lamborghini, a Porsche. You don't buy the Porsche when you're having issues paying your your mortgage on your house, right? There should just be priorities that you need to take care of before you buy the Porsche. They chose a running back while having several needs at premium positions. They needed edge rusher help. There's Arvell Reese and Ruben Bane on the board for the taking. You choose to pass. They need offensive line help. Maui Noah could have been a Cardinal. We'll hear from him in a second. Heck, you could have used a corner. And if Mansour Delane was good enough for Kansas City to move up to number 6 to take him, you can't tell me that's not a better pick at 3 than going running back for the Cardinals. And ideally, they should have traded back. They should have traded out of the pick. They should have. And it's hard to imagine there wouldn't have been suitors. You know, the Titans, like Jeremiyah Love, they could have wanted to move up a pick. They were going skill guy. The Giants, they couldn't have known that Carnell Tate was going to be the pick over Arvell Reese. So if they wanted to get their guy, maybe they're willing to get the 3. Maybe even Kansas City, who obviously was wanting to climb up the board. So now it's Love going to Arizona, and he's probably going to be in witness protection. He's probably going to disappear, never to be heard of again. The same way we were all loving Marvin Harrison Jr. a few years ago, and then he goes to the Cardinals, and nobody has a Marvin Harrison Jr. moment that they can remember since he's joined the league. The Cardinals said that they did not really entertain moving back. But this is the funny part. This is the sound that you need to hear. Monty Ossenfort was asked why there was a delay. See, picks were locked in pretty quickly tonight. The Cardinals pick took a minute, and to Monty's credit, he gave an honest answer.
If you want me to tell you the honest to God truth, we had the wrong phone number. The phone number that we were given was the wrong one, and so that was a little bit of the delay. So we got that straightened out, and we called Jeremiah, and we got a hold of him. That's what the delay was.
There was no delay.
There was no delay. Yeah, technical difficulties. There was a very minimal conversations, Donnie. There was, some surface level, but nothing that came anywhere close to getting us to move off the pick.
Right. So there it is. Okay, that's enough. He said minimal conversations about moving back. But the reason why there was a delay, they had the wrong phone number for Jeremiyah Love. Maybe that should have been a sign. Hey, let's call in the pick. Let's call Jeremiyah Love. Let's tell him he's a Cardinal. I'm sorry. You have the wrong phone number. Maybe somebody in that room should have said, but wait! Maybe this is a sign. Can we check if Arvell Reese's phone number is correct? Do they have the right number for Maui Noah? What about Mansour Delane? Quick, we need to find the right number. How do you do that exactly? Serious question. Do you call the league? Guys, we need Love's number. Do you text another GM? Hey, do you have Jeremiyah Love's correct phone information? Do you? This might be the worst scenario. What if there was is there another top Notre Dame prospect? You call him up. Whoa, this is my moment. It's my dream. The Arizona Cardinals are calling me. Hey, do you got Jeremiah's phone number? Yeah,
I don't know how they had the wrong number. They literally send out like booklets of it.
Also, have you not talked to Jeremiyah Love? Did he not? Sincerely, I don't know. Did he show up on their 30 visit? Do we not exchange phone information?
Who were they calling?
Oh boy!
Like
if it was that
Dave
bad,
that works
I
at the
assume they
pizza
just
shop.
missed it. Oh my God! I assume they just missed a digit. How bad would it be if they mixed their prospects up? And let's say the phone number that they intended, if it was actually Ruben Bane's phone. Hey, is this Jeremiah? Nope, it's Ruben. Oh. Yeah. Oh, just wrong number. Sorry. Seems like there might be more to that story. So, Jeremiyah Love, that's the hardest pick to defend. Some would say it's the Ty Simpson pick. Some would say that. And, based on another post-draft moment where Sean McVay did not seem very happy at all about the fact that Ty Simpson was the newest LA Ram, some might leap to that conclusion. That seems to be something that's going to be a popular Friday talking point, especially now that we know that Ty Simpson has never met Sean McVay. That could be one of interest. That's the worst of what we have. How about the best? What about the best pick of round one? That would actually be Ruben Bane to Tampa at 15. That's the best pick of round one. His fall to 15. It's a classic example of front offices and scouts overthinking their jobs. And this happens. Bane falls to 15 because he has short arms. Just like they said about Micah Parsons. And now everybody wishes that they had Micah Parsons on their team. He fell outside the top 10. Small arms. Arvel Reese, meanwhile, goes top 5 because he has great measurables. He's a combine darling. But easily a far less proven pass rusher than Bane is. And that seems to be the reason why you take these guys in the first round. If you watched college football, it's obvious that Bane was the best pass rusher in the country. That's why Miami was in the national title game. Sometimes we overthink this. How about just get the best football players on your team? The guys who were the best in college, maybe those guys generally are the best in the NFL too. And so he falls, and Tampa is the ideal landing spot for Ruben Bane. Ideal. Like, we weren't really talking about Tampa as a landing spot because nobody felt that Ruben Bane could fall that far. But this is ideal. It might be the best place he could have ended up. Todd Bowles, terrific defensive mind. He's also, as the head coach of the team, calling their defense. Tampa is one of the league's best pocket pushers in the middle of that D-line and Vita Vea that will open up pass rushing lanes. So you're not going to get a lot of double teams with that guy on the inside. And also Yaya Diaby's on the other end, rushing the passer. And remember, Bane's a Florida kid. Played college ball in his home state. Now he gets to remain in his home state playing for the Buccaneers. And he has a strong chance of playing for a playoff team. Despite not winning the NFC South this past season, the Bucs, they are the betting favorite to do so this year. And they won the division 4 straight years before that was snapped by the Carolina Panthers. And while it's undoubtedly frustrating for Bane, and he did show that frustration with Black and Abdallah, and he wasn't doing one of those smiles into the mirror when he sees his hat while walking on stage. He did end up in a terrific destination. So Ruben Bane, that is the best pick for in the first round. Best player falling to a mid-round pick. And good on the Bucs for taking him. Francis Maui Noah. I haven't heard this conversation yet. I'm excited to hear it because Chris Black, Adam Abdallah joined us earlier, and Chris said, hey, this is the best conversation we had all night. We talked to 13 prospects, and we loved talking and getting to know Francis Maui Noah, the newest New York Giant. Here is how that exclusive one-on-one conversation with our teammates, Chris Black and Adam Abdallah, sounded.
Chris Black and Adam Abdallah joined now by Francis Maui Noah, who was selected by the New York Giants with the 10th pick in the 2026 NFL Draft. Congratulations. What was it like to walk across that stage and get that Giants hat?
It's a dream come true. Been dreaming about this my whole life. And, it was kind of a relief, too, because all of the hard work and the sacrifice that my parents have put in for me to be in this situation, man, can't do it without them. And for me to have this moment with them means a lot to me. To walk over that stage, man, I mean, it's a blessing. Words can't explain how much I felt pumped, and I was juiced up to get ready to get back to competition.
Watching TV earlier today, they took us inside of your hotel room, and your parents were putting the lei on top of you. And for those that can't see us, like this, you look awesome. We said it earlier.
You look
you're
great.
the best dressed man at the draft. The suit is decked out on the back. The lei is on you. Take us through the process of what it means to have your parents put that on you in the hotel room before you leave and come to the draft tonight.
Yeah, it means a lot, man. My parents have done a lot for me. For them to put this over me, it's a sign of blessing. And can't do it without them, man. They did a lot for me, and it's now my time to do a lot for them. To be able to represent the Samoan community, it means a lot to me as well. I mean, it's who I am, it's my identity, and without it, I'm nothing.
How do you give back to your parents now?
Supporting them financially, whatever. Wherever they want to go. I know they've been with us at Miami when we were at University of Miami. But now, wherever they want to go, support them no matter what. Because now financial is not going to be the problem.
It's a little bit different climate in New York. Are they going to just come in for games and then fly out? It's a little cold. I don't know if they're going to be there all the time now.
Yeah, it's up to them. It's up to them. I'm going to try my best to tell them to come up. But, it's up to them.
What type of player are the New York Giants getting?
They're getting someone that loves competition. I pride myself off of competition and also consistency. I like to bring it all every day. Man, I'm the type of guy that bring that juice in and be the juicer for the team. Competition is my number one thing. It's iron sharpens iron. I mean, seeing Arvell Reese getting drafted to be able to be my teammate as well, man, I'm pumped. I mean, we played against each other when we were in the playoffs, and can't wait to use that to my advantage.
Have you talked to Jackson Dart yet? And what do you want to say? If not, what do you want to say to him? What do you want him to know about the guy that's going to be blocking for him?
I haven't talked to him yet, but I know the time will come. And, man, you're just getting someone that'll put everything on the life, because I know my family's on the life, your family's on the life, everybody's family's on the life, on the line, and man, I'm gonna do my all. I'm gonna do my best to protect you all day and all night.
What was the pre-draft process like, and what were the meetings like with the Giants before we got to tonight?
It was quite an experience. I mean, when I went to visit New York Giants for a 30 visit, it was amazing. Had a lot of fun with Coach Bloom, with Coach Harbaugh. I mean, they're such an amazing coaches, and I heard a lot from my coaches at University of Miami. These two are straight maniacs, and I love it. I love it. They're old school type of coaching as well. The type of coaches that go through somebody. We're not cutting no corners, and that's just how I like to do things.
We talked to Arvell Reese like a minute ago, and he said his meeting with John Harbaugh was very intense. They had a very long, intense conversation. What was your meeting like with John Harbaugh?
It was the same thing. It was intense. We was just talking straight ball and how we can, elevate the program or the organization. And I just cut it straight, man. I'm here to do my best and to be able to be the best teammate. But not only that, but to earn everybody's trust. Coming in this first round, second round, third round, or any type of round, my main goal is to earn everybody's trust. And that comes with giving it my all, 100% every time. And that comes with, holding the bags for anybody, even when everybody's tired, carrying somebody's, the veterans' shoulder pads or anything. I mean, I'm willing to do it all.
What's something you want to work on your game before you get to camp in the end of the summer?
I mean, overall, everything. I mean, there's always room for improvement, and that's what I take upon myself to improve every day. I have a quote in mind where it's either you're improving or you're not. Every day is an opportunity to be better or be worse. You can never stay the same. It's either you're getting better or you're getting worse. And I want to be on the getting better side.
Francis, thank you so much. Congratulations.
Thank you.
That's Francis Maui Noah, selected number 10 overall by the New York Giants. For Chris Bleck, I'm Adam Abdallah with Westwood One's coverage of the 2026 NFL Draft.
That interview, thanks to Chris Bleck and Adam Abdallah all night long for providing us outstanding one-on-one exclusive conversations with the top draft picks at the NFL Draft tonight. During that conversation, had a chance to look at some of the post-draft press conferences across the league. This one's generating some traction, D-Day. The Pittsburgh Steelers were set to make a splash with their pick at number 21. They were going to do what the Packers did at Lambeau last year. Let's take a receiver and get everybody fired up, taking a skill guy. While they were on the phone, they were picking 21st. The 20th pick was on the clock, and they were on the phone with USC wide receiver Mekhi Lemon. And then Mekhi Lemon's phone rang, and it was from the other Pennsylvania team. It was the Eagles letting Mekhi know that they just moved into the 20th pick and they were taking him. Just something to keep an eye on there, because who initially had 20? That was Green Bay, oddly enough. Well, no, it was Dallas, sorry. Dallas had 20 that they got in the Green Bay trade. So, Mekhi Lemon is the newest Philadelphia Eagle, swooping right underneath the Pittsburgh Steelers, who then settled for an offensive tackle, one of the 9 offensive tackles taken in round 1. Real quickly, before we get to putting it to bed, I see Florida Beck saying, you're overthinking, Bane. Can you overthink it more? How do you overthink it by simply saying, hey, he's the best edge rusher, he should probably go over other edge rushers? I think that's underthinking it. I think it's the most simple way of thinking about it. Hey, Ruben Bane was the best edge rusher in college football. I think he should be taken over Arvell Reese, who was not. And I think he should be taken over David Bailey, too, who was not as good as Ruben Bane was in college. Like, that sounds like the simplest way to think about it. D-Day, what was the highlight of the night? What do you think the biggest story was? Because we've hit on so many.
It's definitely Ty Simpson. Ty Simpson not only getting drafted, but now the manner that which it unfolded, where it sure seems like arguably the most important person in the operation didn't really want him in Sean McVay. It was already a big story, but then adding the vitriol makes it even larger.
Who's partying harder tonight? The draft prospects or Dan Orlovsky?
Does Dan Orlovsky party?
I mean, if he does, his boy, Ty Simpson, going 13th. I didn't see anybody else as strong as find you somebody who loves you the way that man loved Ty Simpson. That's all I got on that. What do we have to put this show to bed?
Well, we have an audible because I was going to do the Steelers story. So I got a few minutes to figure out what we are going to do to put the show to bed.
See, this is D-Day, that's partly your fault. Hey, if you got to stay out of the sports lane when we're putting it to bed, because you never know. I might just swoop in and take something from you.
And I'm learning.
From the sports lane. This is what happens. All right, we'll put this show to bed next.
Westwood One, baby! Fernando Mendoza is the Raiders' new centerpiece. Will he prove to be a franchise quarterback or another Vegas roll of the dice? Westwood One Sports.
At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 4 minutes, 30 seconds. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 4 minutes. At the tone, the broadcast will be in 3 minutes and 30 seconds. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 3 minutes. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 2 minutes, 30 seconds. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 2 minutes. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 1 minute, 30 seconds. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 1 minute. Stations, this is your final time check. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 30 seconds.
Westwood One Sports presents Josh Graham.
We've reached the point in the night where I don't recognize the songs by the script. It took a few hours. I didn't think this is anything anybody asked for. But Bumps by the Irish band The Script playing on the program. And as a tease for Friday night show, Roy says that he's going to test, quote, my early 2000s knowledge. You're younger than me, Roy. Is this early 2010s you're saying? Or are you saying early 2000s? Because you know these are separate decades,
Early
right?
to mid 2000s.
Okay. Because that is my bag. Just so you know. Like my bag, if I had to specify, 2004 to about 2008/9, fully my bag, the category I'd put it in. Thanks
I feel like
to,
you were just a
let me
emo
go
kid
through
growing
the,
up, you know, just all the script
yeah,
songs
if
you
you
know. Have you gotten
may or
your
may
heart
not
broken
have
before?
sing- Oh, no doubt. Coldplay, one of my favorite bands, got me through some stuff. But the, in terms of emo, may or may not have sing Scars by Papa Roach one night, karaoke on a boat. It happened. Let me go through the laundry list of guests that we had tonight. Francis Maui Noah, the newest New York Giant. David Bailey, the newest Texas Tech Red Raider. Did it again. New York Jet joining the show. Caleb Downs, Ohio. I'm going to associate them with the college first before the NFL team. It's pretty new on me. The Dallas Cowboys star safety. Ruben Bane, Tampa Bay Buccaneer. Mansour Delane, Kansas City Chief. Ty Simpson, LA Ram. Jeremiyah Love, Arizona Cardinal. And yes, Black and Abdallah joining us, doing all those interviews from Pittsburgh. Appreciate them for tonight's program. Make sure you listen to Black and Abdallah from Pittsburgh, noon to 3 Eastern Time. We're about to pass the baton off to Drake Toll and company. Addie Bates getting things done. Make sure if you missed any of tonight's show, you find our YouTube channel where we have a lot of the breakdowns, a lot of the stuff from draft night. Westwood One Sports Night is where you go on YouTube. Please find that. Our shorts too, fantastic stuff. Our podcast feed, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, search Westwood One Sports Night. Thanks to our guy Roy for the bumps and for taking all the calls and making this thing run, and to Denton Day, because right now he closes things out by putting it to bed.
I figure it's only right that we close this bad boy off with a little bit of food talk. I stumbled across something during the break that is actually a passion of mine, Josh. We've never spoken about this because there hasn't really been a need to speak about this, but a report from ABC is suggesting that people are eating dinner significantly earlier when they're going out. To the point where
So
now
the youths are no longer drinking, they're no longer having sex with each other, and now they're eating earlier, is what you're saying.
I said the last one. The first two ones are very much still happening. It's just
At a lesser rate.
I think the youth are still banging. I don't think that's slowing down.
I hope you're right.
Sure. Anyway, the study that I have found is suggesting that people are eating at 6 p.m. now. So it's becoming the new national average. And I hate this, and I hate this for a big-time reason. I don't like going to crowded restaurants, and I like to eat at 6 p.m., and I don't want other people there. I like the luxury of not hearing everybody else's conversation, unless you're breaking up. I've seen one or two of those where someone's breaking up in the booth next to me, and that is entertaining. I do like dinner and a show. But outside of that, I just don't want people around. I want my food quick.
I eat lunch between 11 a.m. or I guess, new schedule with the late night show. Probably not so much this anymore. But on a normal day, I would have eaten lunch between 11 a.m. and noon just because.
Damn, that's an early-ass lunch.
I know. I don't want to be when people are going to lunch. This is a passion project of me, too. Where if I go into lunch.
You're talking about going out. I don't go out for lunch.
Right. I like going out for lunch. No problem with that. I like eating dinner. When you have a child, I will tell you, It is, you're not wanting to eat out so much for dinner anymore because he goes to bed very early, and we're not eating out at a restaurant with a little one because if you don't know, if you want to feel anxiety, have an 18-month-old in a public place while you eat. That's anxiety at a different level, brother. So, yeah, I do. Generally when I'm going out to eat, I'm going out for lunch, not dinner.
I hope my future seed picks up after his dad because apparently, according to my parents, I was a very good child at restaurants.
I'm now Googling, are the Utes having less sex? This is like a big story. I
Are
thought
you
I saw
Googling
this
that
in
on
the
a
news.
work laptop?
No, it's
I would
my
also
personal
not use the
laptop.
term youth in the Google search.
I did. Are the use? Yeah,
Ooh.
sex appears to be on the decline among teenagers and young adults all over the world.
What,
Seems
you
to
got
be
end
like
up
a
on
problem.
list?
Like when it comes to procreation, it's an issue. And the Utes aren't going out as much drinking. They don't enjoy. They don't like doing things that are unhealthy for them. It's smart, but they're not making the same decisions we made, and they're not having as much fun, it seems, which is a problem. Less alcohol and less sex. It's a problem. And on that note, this has been the NFL Draft Night Extravaganza.
This is Westwood One Sports.